Caitlin.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions for Director Gabbard just on this. Director Gabbard, you referenced the past intelligence reports and assessments on this, including that 2017 one that was signed off, as Ed noted, by every Republican on the Senate Intelligence Community, including the acting chair of the time, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said in a statement that they did not find any evidence of Russian collusion, but they did find, however, is very troubling, and they found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling. One, are you saying that he's wrong in that statement that he made then? And secondly, what would you say to people who believe that you're only releasing these documents now to improve your standing with the president after he said that your intelligence assessments were wrong?
Well, first, I want to correct something that you stated, which was citing the Senate Intelligence Committee's report as being one and the same. I think you said the intelligence community. The Senate Intelligence Committee has a very different function than the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. The evidence and the intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Caroline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians, all of these lies that were never true. And he also said at that time, we discovered deeply troubling actions taken by the FBI under Comey, particularly their acceptance and willingness to rely on the Steele dossier without verifying its methodology or sourcing. The Steele dossier that many outlets in this room ran as the gospel truth, and it was cooked up and paid for by the Clinton campaign.
It's the Homeless Left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Craig Pasta Jardula.
Episode 126, Narrative Control.
With special guest
Garland Nixon.
And a real fake news update. And here's your hosts, Matt and Pasta.
Isn't there a fade in we can use next time so we can fade in? You know?
I gotta figure that out. Jamie can show me how to do that. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Homeless Left. We're here in person at the home studio here in LA. I got Craig Pasta Jardula joining me in the studio. This is great, man. We're doing this side by side, kind of news style today. This is great.
Yeah. The news. We're breaking the news out there today. That's where we wore ties to be serious news guys. But you know, I always love the beginning of your shows. You always have something fun there. You know, the entertainment value when Matt Weinglass comes to play is always going to be there. We're going to have something that's going to be catchy and fun. And you start out the show right with it. But you know, what I noticed more about anything was the actual Pam Bondi talking with Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI. Is the fact that they still kind of leave that one foot at the door. Yeah, Russia's still sowing, discourse and whatnot, but there was no evidence that they were effective in anything, right? And there's also no evidence the fact that they would want one candidate over the other. I think that Vladimir Putin has displayed plenty of times. It doesn't make a difference who gets in there for him. He cited just recently in an interview that Barack Obama was a guy who had aspirations, but as soon as you get in, the other people are calling the shots and you're just working for them. The president's nothing more than a figurehead. So I don't know. They really haven't, the fact is that they leave that one foot out the door. Yeah, Russia's still colluding. So then Donald Trump can go ahead and do what the military industrial complex wants him to do. And that's still have endless war with Russia. And that's still what's going on. In fact, it's escalated now because like once before, Obama gave him sheets. I gave you javelins. That's a big escalation of the war, really, to shoot at Russian tanks. You're now taking it to the next level. So Donald Trump had a part to play, and now he's playing his part again. And through that little press conference that they made, and that was so much fun. The Hillary Clinton was great too, as well. They're still leaving that option open for the Republicans or the Democrats. And the Republicans are known to be more of a neocon kind of mentality than the Democrats, right? I mean, the Democrats are terrible right now. None of them are speaking, and we're going to speak today about a flotilla going into Israel-Gaza situation. None of those people were trying to struggle to get into the Donbass to help those people that were suffering. So the hypocrisy too as well. It just makes me think, as we're doing the news today, so many things are going on, but nothing's going on because it's just white static. Because people in this country, Matt, don't know what goes on outside of these borders with our foreign policy, what we do, and how we just bring death and destruction to everywhere. And it's also a testing ground to use for citizens back home.
Yeah, no, this is exactly, the jig is up. We can see this game they're playing back and forth. And that's why the opening, I want to give a shout out to diaper diplomacy, because this AI technology is really exposing that it's just a script. And they do this. They tell you something that's accurate. So Tulsi tells us something accurate, but it's all part of this theater of distraction, because both sides at the end of the day are for the war machine and Israel and U.S. Imperialism and war machine efforts. No questions asked, and that's it. That's all.
When you saw Tulsi Gabbard in her confirmation hearing, people were excusing her, especially the Tulsi-crats, excusing what she was saying, that she now turned on Assad. Her opinion's different there. And it was really important for her to hold strong on her opinions on Assad in Syria, because her and Dennis Kucinich went over there together, and it demonstrates a very serious geopolitical move that the United States made in going into Syria. Barack Obama turning it into a war zone. That didn't need to happen. That shouldn't have happened. That happened at the behest of Israel because they're getting the land they actually wanted. So with Tulsi reversing course on that during her confirmation hearing, that was really bad. And people had said, well, she has to say this to get confirmed. I said, well, then what are we doing here? If we're not bringing somebody in there to change the system, to come in there with our opinions, represent our voice. I don't care what the Senate represents. They don't represent the people. Then what are we doing over here? We're just doing the same thing. It doesn't make a difference if Tulsi's getting in there or not. Same thing with RFK when he was saying, I agree with the vaccine schedule. These people are who they are, and they show you who they are. The old Denny Green. They are who we thought they are. That's who they were at the hearing. That's who they are right now. And, also, too, his fact is now Tulsi's coming around, they say, because once again, Donald Trump disagreed with her. Now she's like, no, you didn't play the whole thing. I'm with Donald Trump. We should have preemptive war with Iran. She doesn't say that, but she provides the necessary fodder to go ahead with those actions so the president could do that. Same thing when she says that jihadists, Sunni jihadist extremists are the biggest threat to Americans. She's providing, once again, the ammunition for Israel to do what they want to do.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into some stuff right now, but guys, I want to thank everyone who's here with us. You're loyal listeners and viewers. We really appreciate it. If you guys are just stumbling on us right now, you have to know this. If we came up in your feed, it's kind of a fluke, because there has definitely been some shadow banning. There's definitely been some maneuvering of the statistics, the algorithms, and it's hard for us to fight this battle every single week. But we can't do it without you guys. So we do appreciate all of your support. If you're here with us on Rumble or on Twitter X, The Homeless Left, it's easy to find us. It's a little harder to find us on YouTube because they terminated our channel, The Homeless Left. That's gone. You can't find it. You can't search for it. You're gonna have to put in THL Presents to find us now. But again, guys, thanks for being part of what we're doing. This was just a burner channel we had on the side, and now here we go. We actually have some momentum, so we want to keep the fight going. This is actually a very important time.
Is it monetized?
We are monetized officially.
So
which
you
I
go
don't
on that one and leave a $1 or $2 to help us out. So independent media needs your help. It feels like there's like another lull going on, right, with the state of independent media. A lot of people thought RT was going to come back. They occupied a lot of space. A lot of people we know, independent anti-imperialists, would go on that show. They're no longer around and about. They're still trying to do what they're doing. So it feels like it's a lull. But I don't know. I feel like something's going to change, hopefully, when it comes to our speech and these major platforms and what they're allowed to censor and not censor. We still don't have an open source system, so we can't see what Elon's doing. We know he's been promoting these idiots like Nick Sorter and Benny Johnson, who are still trying to stick up for Trump despite his disastrous just nosedive of a presidency.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and start today off. Oh, we should tell you guys, we got Garland Nixon coming in.
Yeah.
All right. Garland's coming up at the top of the hour. That's going to be a fun one. We're going to get into some Ukraine and some Trump stuff and
get some Nixonisms.
Like it.
He always got a little Nixonism. He's got a little saying. The way he tells the story is a Nixonism.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be a fun one. But before that, we like to start off the shows on Tuesday with a little real fake news update. So let's go ahead and get to that. Real fake news. It's a real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. I'm here with co-host, actually host with the most, next to me right now, Craig Jardula. Let's get into this story, which I think you guys might have seen on your feeds, but the mainstream is doing their best to not talk about this one at all. This young inventor, his name is Julian Brown, and he created a tech that turns plastic into gasoline. And he claims that this is something he could give out to the planet for free. He's had some following on his platforms, on TikTok, on I don't know, I'm not sure if he's on Twitter, but he's definitely been talking about this tech for a long time, building it up, testing it, doing a lot of live feeds with it. And then all of a sudden, he disappeared 2 weeks ago. No sign of him. Nobody knows what happened to him. So if you guys don't know him, this is Julian Brown. This is him giving a video about that he thinks something might be happening to him, followed by one of his most recent updates about his invention. So check this out.
I can't go into too much detail, but there is some very, very odd stuff going on. I'm certainly under attack right now in many different ways, and I just want everybody to know to just kind of have your eyes open. And I have my eyes open, but there's a lot going on. So I'm still working, I'm still building. Nothing's gonna stop that. But I'm just telling you guys right now, be on the lookout because I'm under attack. He always wants to ask me.
Now watch this. This is his actual invention, guys. This is actually pretty awesome.
How much per gallon does it take to take plastic waste and turn it into a gallon of my plastiline, a gasoline alternative made from plastic waste? Well, let me tell you what it's going to be. $0 per gallon. How? Because starting next month, I'm going to begin the journey of running this complete machine completely off of solar. I will take the sunlight and harness the rays of the sun at a cost of $0 per kilowatt to operate the world's first ever handmade continuous microwave pyrolysis reactor to convert plastic waste, mixed, sorted, clean, dirty, whatever. Take that plastic waste out the ocean, out the landfills, out the waste stream, and turn it into fuel. $0 a gallon. So are you ready? Are you with me on this journey?
Okay, now since this is a real fake news update, Craig, I have to say, as of last night, we didn't hear any update on this. Nobody in the mainstream was covering this. You could type it in on Twitter and find it. However, this morning, there were some community notes added. The community notes are telling us that this conspiracy theory that he's disappeared is actually not true. How do we know it's not true? Well, the Daily Mail is telling us it's not true with one little blip, I guess, about it. Here it is from the Daily Mail as of this morning. Inventor Julian Brown feared missing after discovering how to turn plastic into gasoline. Now his mom tells Daily Mail the real story. The inventor who vanished after saying he was under attack over a groundbreaking technology is fine, but keeping a low profile for his safety, according to his mother. Despite his inactivity on social media and his troubling final post, Brown's mother, Nia, debunked the speculation that her son is missing. I can confirm Julian is safe, but in the best interest of his security, I'm not able to provide any more information, Nia told the Daily Mail. Atlanta police also confirmed the agency is not currently looking for a missing person that matches Brown's information. And then there's a check. Obviously, you got to check with Grok to see if he actually has this technology that he claims. Is Julian Brown really the inventor who created the tech that turns plastic into gasoline? Was it really his idea? Yes. Julian Brown developed plastoline,
Yeah.
a microwave. What is this?
Pyrolysis.
Same system that converts plastic waste into fuel like gasoline. The core pyrolysis concept dates to the 70s, but Brown's microwave innovation is his own, self-taught since age 18. It was indeed his idea. Note, and of course, Grok has to also tell us his mother confirms he's safe, not missing, just a low profile.
Isn't that true? There could be a possibility he could be hanging loose.
It is a possibility he's hanging loose, but what I don't appreciate is the community notes talking as if it was a concern. It shouldn't have been a concern at all that he went missing for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That is part of the story. And to act as if this is business as usual because the mother released one sentence to the Daily Mail. There is no other trace of this guy. We checked before we went live today, guys. That's all you get. One sentence. There's no more to that article. I didn't cut the article off because, you know, we were shorthanded on it. I cut the article off because it ends right there. That's the end of the article.
Well,
That's it.
I hope the fact that first of all, I'd like to see more of his plastiline in action, see if it works. That's the fun. I want to see how that works because he said he had it and stuff, but I'd like to see it in action. And then, you know, I mean, wow. I mean, listen, we had I was on Union of the Unwanted not too long ago. With this AI right now, we are sucking so much fucking more energy out of the earth right now than that's necessary. But I mean, the fact that if people don't have to pay for their expenses and stuff for gasoline, that would be amazing. I don't think they'll ever let us have that, the controlled system. But I don't know.
I mean, look, this is one of these things that we have to do kind of our own work on because, you know, you're not going to have your trusted outlets doing anything. If he does actually disappear, there's not going to be coverage of it. So we have to keep an eye on this. I'm asking the question, why is his mom only giving us one sentence? Why is he not on video updating his people? Because he's had a relationship
absolutely
this whole time.
He could still be missing right now or whatever. We don't know. Okay. But plastic is a petroleum product. So you can see it making it work. This is something that would be really exciting if this, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to see the machine. I'd love to see it in action and stuff. So, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I still have hope. I think that there's a lot of like UFO technology that's being hidden because it's energy once again, and they don't want to give that to the plebs, the useless eaters. They want to starve us for everything, make sure we don't have anything. No joys in life.
The way
easier to control, by the way.
Yeah, and the way he was, and this is 18-year-old kid that started, you know, taught himself how to do this innovation on his own. And you look at the way he talks to, you know, his followers in the camera, and there's this innocence. And just kind of just this not opportunist, but this just like optimism in his eyes that if you find a technology or invent something to help the world, that everyone's going to just embrace that. And that's what we're taught when we're little kids, but that's not actually true. No. That's actually the opposite. Yeah. And so you see that innocence kind of when he's like, hey guys, are you ready for some free gasoline?
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys, are you ready for the cure for cancer? You guys ready? We're gonna not patent it, and we're gonna just get good luck with that.
And we know, like, you know, big farmers are like, no, there's too much money in that shit stuff. So I listen, it's a quagmire, but it's also exciting. I have hope. You know what I'm saying? I have hope. Like something like that could be amazing, you know?
All right.
Move to Atlanta, buy it on the underground if it works.
Well, we'll definitely try and keep our eyes open on this story. We're going to go on to, actually, should we?
Yeah, we got about 30 minutes,
no, we got the flotilla story.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Okay, guys. This flotilla that went to attempt to go to Gaza to deliver aid. You guys remember we covered the one last month with Greta Thunberg, and we looked at that. We kind of broke it down, understanding that they probably knew going in what was going to happen. They're going to get captured. There's going to be kind of a theater element to it.
Did you pay me my money for that, by the way? I think you did. Did you tell me?
It was, I think it was a beer. I think it was a beer.
I think it was that. I'm going to change it to a glass of wine.
Okay, we'll do a glass of wine. But look, you were right, and I will say this: you were definitely right that Greta Thunberg was being used for this campaign, which ended up being, when people looked at it, they saw, oh, Israel likes to give food and accommodate its people when they capture them, and so all this talk about torture, this was all about positioning it so it looks like that they're actually playing by some sort of rules, and they fell right into the trap. Now, whether Greta was in on the scam or not, I happen to think she was an unknowing player in it, because I think she really did want to be part of doing something.
Well,
that's what I think.
Well, I'd like to hear, like, Indie News is in the chat, so I'd love to hear what he has to say about the whole definitely whatchamacallit, what's her name? I keep forgetting her name. Greta Thunberg, situation. I think that, once the person has established herself to be as big as an op as Greta Thunberg, she's an actor. Remember the pictures too as well? There was a protest where they were out there and they moved her out. I don't know if it was in Germany or whatever. And at one point she was probably exploited, but I think she knows very damn well what's going on right now. She knew her life was not in jeopardy. She wasn't putting her life on line. And I love the way what they did is they stuck her by the toilet on the plane to send her back. I don't want to say I love what the IDF does or Israel does, but that's what they did. You know what I'm saying? They knew her life was never in danger. And I knew that too as well. She's an actress. She's not there to have any real conversations, elevate any real issues. She's just there to get a bunch of people that Taylor Swift will also get to come to the forefront and to speak out against the Republicans. They're there to make things. Greta Thunberg's there to make sure that we stay in a two-party duopoly and it's divisive.
Well, look, this happened again, Craig, and I don't know. This might maybe slightly change your mind on what is actually happening. But
this is a different situation.
Well, because of the way it turned out, or why don't we break this down? Because there's a lot more going on here than just the theater of it. Okay, yes. So let's start from the beginning. This is another flotilla that was captured. Israel again intercepts Gaza-bound ship carrying activist and humanitarian aid. It was the second ship operated by the coalition that Israel has prevented in recent months from delivering aid to Gaza, where food experts, I don't know why you need experts to see that they have not had months. They haven't had food for months, and they're now warning of risk of famine. I'm glad we need food experts, by the way, to tell us that there's risk of famine after so long.
I'm sure there are people within this community, right, that did this first, and there's people in this organization that knew they would have picked up and everything was going to be okay, and they'll move people where they got to move back, right? They didn't hold Greta. The next thing you know, she was there for like a day, and she was on a plane the next day, and she was gone. I think they knew that. I still think there are people within this organization that are like, no, they're real. And this happens when you have these organizations. You're going to have your real people and your pretenders. And the real people are like, I don't give a shit if they took our vessel and they do this. We're going in again. We have international law on our side. Let's go. Right. So for some reason, I just feel like when you hear the lady speak, that this was a lot more sincere. This is one of those people who are like, no. And these organizations, these NGOs or whatever, they'll all have that people. That's like government. You'll even have a couple people in government that are the real ones and the fake ones. So I just feel that it's a little bit different from the rhetoric, the stories, the energy. You know what I'm saying? When Cynthia McKinney did it, she put her life on the line. She was held in a Israeli prison for 3 days. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit different. But notice the treatment, how it's different. They're completely different. Greta was on a plane the next day. Christian Smalls is being what?
Well, he's still there. Look, listen, you're jumping ahead. Let's get to the story.
Gotcha.
Then we can discuss this. So
you did say why, so I was just trying to.
Okay. Well, here we go. Here we go.
Sarah.
So this was from Sarah that was breaking that Israel has attacked and boarded the Jardula Freedom Flotilla in international waters, an act of piracy. They're kidnapping 21 unarmed people, including 2 French MPs. Their only crime, bringing baby formula to starving children in Gaza. Here is the live. Now, they were smart to do a live feed the entire time. Yeah. So we do have footage of what happened. Here is what happened right before the Israel came on there. Whoever was there, the spokesman came on the radio and told them, you better stop, and anything you do from this point on, you're going to face the consequences. That's what they were told. They were warned. And here's the response to that warning from inside the flotilla. Check it out.
And we are sailing lawfully in international waters where you have no jurisdiction, have no lawful jurisdiction, starving civilians. Any blockade that starves civilians or has a disproportionate harmful effect on a civilian population is illegal. And therefore you have no authority to enforce an illegal blockade. And as such, you are not permitted to use any kind of force to enforce an illegal blockade. We demand that you stand down, that you not attack the civilian vessel that is carrying only humanitarian aid. Why are you afraid of baby formula and teddy bears that are destined for the children of Gaza? You spew your propaganda about Hamas. This vessel carries food and baby formula for children that your government is deliberately starving. Your blockade is deliberately starving children to death. You have no authority to enforce an illegal blockade. This is a war crime. You are responsible for the health, well-being, and safety of all civilians aboard this vessel, and any attack on us is a violation of international law for which you will be held accountable by the international community. Again, we are a civilian vessel. We constitute no threat to you. Do not attack this vessel. Do not board our vessel. Do not obstruct our path to Gaza. Handala out.
And then moments later, this happened. There's the 21 of them being rounded up and taken. At this point, it is semi-familiar to what happened to Greta, but now we're going to start seeing it a little different. We're not seeing them giving out the pizza slices and the whatever else beverages. So that's not happening here. This second flotilla also, I said they did the live stream the whole time until they were forced to cut it off. Obviously, there's not going to be any more stream after this. They also prepared video messages beforehand, knowing that this was definitely a possibility to happen. One of the members, you guys don't know, one of the people on the boat was Christian Smalls, Amazon activist who successfully got Amazon unionized over in Staten Island. We know, we've been covering this story. You guys have been covering that story. We all know about Christian Smalls activism. Here's Christian Smalls making a video before the capture, telling us what was going to happen.
My name is Chris Smalls from the United States. If you are seeing this video, we have been intercepted at sea and have been kidnapped by the Israeli occupation forces or forces of the country complicit in Israel's genocide of the Palestinians. I appeal to my comrades, friends, family, to everyone to put pressure on the U.S. government to demand my release and the release of my comrades as soon as possible. Thank you.
So anybody who thinks that it's still following the same timeline as Greta, think again. We just found out about this, issued this morning from assault of human rights defender. Upon arrival in Israeli custody, the Freedom Flotilla Coalition confirms that upon arrival in Israeli custody, U.S. human rights defender Christian Smalls was physically assaulted by 7 uniformed individuals. When his lawyer met with him, Christian was surrounded by 6 members of Israel's special police unit. This level of force was not used against other abducted activists. They choked him and kicked him in the legs, leaving visible signs of violence on his neck and his back. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition condemns this violence against Christian and demands accountability for the assault and discriminatory treatment he faced. We're not going to get the media and other, quote unquote activists, being too loud about this other than off the grid. You're not going to see Trump, obviously. I mean, this just goes without saying, but maybe we should say it just in case some of you thought that this is one of those things that, Trump's administration would even say anything about. You're not going to get anything from them. And, we're at a point now. We're beyond betting for a beer, Craig. We've gone into a whole nother level of here's what happens. Here's the example they make when you go out of, when you say, I'm going to put my life, myself on the line, as Christian Smalls has done in his entire life, as we know in his career with Amazon and what he did after being fired. He still fought for the rights of workers, fought for the rights of people. Here he is now being tortured. And we don't know how this is going to end at this point.
Yeah, I'm putting up Christian Smalls to see if there's any update that's happened right away. Nothing yet, so we'll see. But I mean, I know I'm just imagining how Trump and the administration will tackle this. Have we had any information from anybody from the administration making any statements about anybody in this flotilla yet being taken captive? Because I know they're going to say they shouldn't have been there. They're going to side, obviously, on the side of the Israeli government. I'm very curious to see what Pam Bondi or Rubio or Donald Trump himself has to say about this whole situation. They have American, over there. What will they say? Well, he's an American. He needs to come back. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be interesting, but I'm pretty sure that you'll see the whole Trump administration in the tank for the Israeli government. But, you know, I mean, it's a good thing. There's some points. I'm like, well, they were international waters. They got picked up. The blockade is illegal. They're starving children. The other day, Donald Trump acknowledged that they're starving children. Just the other day, it was an antiwar.com. He acknowledged it, that starvation going on. So technically, by the books, that lady is right. They're allowed to do that. It's an illegal blockade. They're bringing baby formula, you know? And what is it? How is Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Rubio going to face it when they get some backlash, if hopefully there's some from the media, about an American citizen being beaten by the IDF?
Well,
they're going to say it's speculation. It's not true. Let's see the proof. And they're going to deny it. And they're going to say this is all made up.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. And I think they're going to double down on what you said about these activists, quote unquote activists, put themselves in a situation that they know was dangerous. Why was it dangerous? Because they are meddling in the business of Israel. Israel's trying to work out the starvation issue. So all of the news outlets, and we saw this over the last week, guys. You've noticed this, right? The change that the Western media outlets are now reporting on the starvation. Why are they doing that all of a sudden? Doesn't that incriminate Israel? No, it actually doesn't. If you look at the verbiage, we saw the Guardian do this. We saw all these different outlets. It's like they were completely coordinated at the same time to say, now's the time to acknowledge the starvation, but you're going to insinuate that it's not actually Israel's fault. Therefore, it's not our fault because we're funding Israel. Yeah. So how do they justify this? It's Hamas. It's the conditions there. It's shady activist groups on the ground. So Israel's getting to the bottom of it. Therefore, if you want to get on a flotilla and go out there, you're playing with fire, because we're supposed to trust that the Israeli government knows how to handle this starvation issue. They're working on it right now, Craig. They don't need any help from Christian Smalls.
Can I add this real quick?
Yeah, let's go.
So just so you see, this is how do you make it bigger?
I just have to do this. Hold on.
I can make it bigger over here, Mums. Duh, my bad.
There you go. Oh, you got it.
Trump acknowledges there is real starvation in Gaza. The comments came after Netanyahu put out a video claiming there was no starvation, despite the daily malnutrition deaths caused by the Israeli siege, something that they were trying to rectify with the flotilla. This is by David DeCamp. Really quickly, President Trump acknowledged on Monday that there was real starvation in the Gaza Strip. Comments came after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu claimed there was no starvation, despite the daily malnutrition deaths that have been caused by the U.S.-backed Israeli siege. I'm glad they put the U.S.-backed Israeli siege, because we're still paying for it, guys. Every day, hundreds of people die in Gaza. There's an ethnic cleansing going on. This would be the dirtiest stain on American citizens for allowing this to happen under their watch, actually going on and funding and buying it. That's real starvation stuff. I see it. You can't fake it, the president told reporters while meeting the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at a Trump golf course in Scotland. Trump said the U.S. become even more involved with getting aid into Gaza. However, the current U.S. aid system, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the GHF, has created death traps for Palestinians as they regularly gunned down by the Israeli military near the GHF sites, something that the homeless left has been reporting on accurately ahead of time. Yeah. We said this the day after it happened. The GHF brings food and they gun them down like pigs. So what Donald Trump is saying is just posturing too as well, because at the end of the day, we're going to be involved in the aid and the food and humanitarian. How do you sit there and claim that when you're the cause of the problem in the first place? Everything Israel does, it does at the behest of the United States. The United States gives them the weapons to do it, and Donald Trump has exploded the budget. And you saw with the Marjorie Taylor Greene, to even scale it back a little, they won't do it. So, I mean, he has acknowledged that there's real starvation going on. That makes the blockade illegal, right?
Yeah.
That makes that what they're doing over here. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. Technically legal. I wonder how Donald Trump is going to respond when Israeli forces are just beating up a black man. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I want to see what the citizens do and stuff like that. Sit there and tell me this wasn't racially motivated. Fuck off. I don't know. Do you think it was racially motivated? The IDF beating up on, I mean,
there could be a little of that. Also, they know who every one of these activists are. They have their profile. Yes. And I think that they are making an example of Christian Smalls, who we know is somebody who doesn't play by party politics. He doesn't play by a tribe. So he is actually more dangerous when he's outside of that box, as opposed to Greta, who's been in kind of comfortably in a box for most of her life. Christian Smalls is not, and I think that that's something that, you know, it's sending a message, and we know, like, this is the example we're going to make of you.
How dare you come over here?
Yeah, exactly. And then at the same time, like you said, like, even though Netanyahu and Trump are contradicting each other, it's not the first time we've seen that either. We've seen that
fight. The fake fight.
It's the fake fight. But Netanyahu is just trying to he's trying to posturize to other more extreme than him, right? The more extreme voices in Israel that say that he's being too soft, right? So he has to reposition himself and say there's no starvation. But make no mistake, the Western media is in complete alignment right now by saying now's the time we're going to tell the American people and the people in Europe, we're going to tell them that there's starvation, but we're not going to take responsibility for it, that we're funding it. We're not going to blame anything on Israel. We're going to keep pushing our anti-speech legislation in all of these countries. Specifically, if you're Free Palestine, that means you want to kill Jews, which is part of the narrative. We're going to continue to double down on that. Meanwhile, you guys are going to think, and this is the best part, Craig, if you're a casual reader of these news outlets, and you kind of flip by CNN, you flip by MSNBC, you flip by Fox, and you think you're somebody in the middle, just kind of getting a whole spectrum of analysis. And guess what? Now it's time for you to have empathy for people in Palestine. It's not going to change your political alignment with what we do as a nation, because nobody in these articles, nobody in these news outlets are telling you that we're the ones that caused it. They're telling them it's other reasons, and we just have to all have a heart and put a whatever, a ribbon on our shirt or whatever it is they're going to tell us to do, to feel like that we're part of the solution. And then they're going to continue beating up on people like us who are saying there's more to this, there's more diabolical elements to this. And they're going, guys, come on, can't we just all agree that that's a humanitarian crisis, like Bernie tells us, and just let it be that? Okay, I hope we're good on the.
Where's the internet?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, let's check it out here. Sorry, guys, a little technical issue. Let's see how we're doing. I think we're okay.
It's a little behind there.
It's a little behind on here. Okay. Well, let's see. If you guys are still able to see us, let us know in the comments, and we'll keep the show going. We'll keep the show going. Internet. Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you for that, Zootzillo. Appreciate it. Okay. That was a little bump.
What up, Fred? What up, guys? But right now you still have a little bit more in the section, I believe, right? Because I think it's important to point out that, Norman Finkelstein would talk about the fact that the state of Israel is a little bit different than it was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, at least there were people willing to say, this is not right. Let's live together in harmony, where a lot of the population now has been programmed in school. They love to project that, every single Palestinian kid grows up wants to kill a Jew person. That's part of their religion. Yet throughout their schools, we see them doing quite the opposite, right? They're projecting onto the Palestinians what they're doing to their children. So we have a nation now of Israel that feels a lot that Israel hasn't gone strong and fast enough to take care of this problem.
Yeah.
And they, waiting on Donald Trump to find an area to displace all these Palestinians. And therefore, your media is very much like that too as well. And I saw you have something on Channel 14.
Yeah. So this is again the reminder, and I'm gonna say it again, Craig. If you are just flipping through the mainstream outlets and you're just kind of cycling through it, and you're doing your part as a good American, outstanding citizen that spends about a half hour a day looking at stuff, you're not actually getting the story. The real story is the way Israel and the people of Israel are conditioned. Like you said, they are trained from a very young age. This is their mindset. They don't care. It's not that they don't even care about the Palestinians. They want them all to die. It's not. This is not.
They believe they have a right to that land.
Exactly. Because if the babies grow up, they will grow up to be terrorists. Therefore, wanting to kill everyone in Israel
is okay now.
And so we have to stop them. It's a preemptive strike, and it's totally okay. This is while we're getting our news from whatever outlet, The Guardian or whoever, telling us, oh, we feel bad about starving kids. This is this kind of garbage they're airing on their popular network. This is the most popular show on their channel 14. I'll take the volume down and read the translation here. This is what they're seeing right now on their news. Let's see. Here we go. That Israel is starving the Gazans. I have to tell you, from the picture I see, I think they need to lose some weight. But you could call it selective starvation, like the selective shock of the left, because in the pictures you see very, very thin, really hungry, and their parents are fat and healthy. Sometimes they may even suffer from obesity. It's really phenomenon, I think it is. Do we have the picture of the mother of the girl? They claim died of hunger. Azov, maybe we should see that. Yeah, if she's dead already, you have to see the mother. Oh, this is entertainment. I guess this is one of their entertainment shows, probably morning show, where you have your coffee and you laugh about these conditions of a mother and their kids. Okay, let's put it this way: when you see the mother, it's pretty clear why the girl died of hunger. Come on, let's see. Do we have it? Oh, raise it a little higher. Great, lower it. This is not a starving woman. No, this is a woman who may have eaten all of her child's food. I don't know. I can think of any other option. A woman who ate a whole goat, who ate the girl herself. That is news coming on Israel networks right now.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. This is really what a lot of these Israeli networks do. And then it's parroted by some of the conservative right-wing pro-Israel media here in the United States, whether it be in the independent field or the mainstream field. That's a good one too, by the way. Is the confirmation bias they're giving people? There's a person from my acting class who's, hardcore Jewish girl, Zionist, whatnot, and she pretty much states like everything that's put out media-wise that favors the arguments from the Palestinians is all fake. It's Hamas. It's all bullshit. People aren't really starving. They aren't really killing children. You know what I'm saying? Every once in a while, there's some collateral damage. But this is the type of propaganda they're putting on the regular. And it's a little bit different, but it's still very much parallels what's going on in the United States. When you're one of those flippers who just looks to see what's going on. I'm an independent. I watch both mainstream conservative and Democratic news, right?
Yeah.
It's all fake news. It's propaganda. It's conditioning. Same thing's going on over there. It's going on over here. A little bit different right now because they're addressing, I think, a genocide. A little bit different than what's going on, over here. But still, same tactics, same way. Propaganda. So,
yeah. Well,
you want to take a 30-second?
Yeah. Why don't we do it? Go ahead.
Our guest is here. And
yes. We're gonna go ahead and do a little. Do you need we'll do like a 2-minute?
A little. I got to hit the little podcasters room, and I'll be right back.
Okay, guys. We'll be right back with our guest, Garland Nixon. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back. We're back with some more Homeless Left. All right. If you guys are just joining us, welcome to the show. You got here just in time because we're about to introduce our guest for today. You want to do the honors?
Sure. Man, you know this guy out there. I always start off with you know this person because we do we tend to talk in the same circles and stuff, but you know, I've got the liberty and the opportunity and the privilege to actually go into a studio with him once before, talk face to face with him and his partner from the Critical Hour. Ladies and gentlemen, Garland Nixon, and the over-under for today, by the way, as we bring you on, is 3 Nixonisms. If you don't know what a Nixonism is, let's bring him on in. A Nixonism is something that Garland will talk about where he makes a point, he tells a story, he kind of gives you a way to relate to things. And I think it's so important, Garland, out there, because a lot of people don't do that. And when they hear you speak and they hear you do your shtick and do your thing, they can really relate. And I think it's awesome that you're in this game. I think it's really sad that Sputnik and RT has gone away. I'd like to talk a little bit about that later on. But welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on. And I'm glad that Matt gets to go on your show and talk about HOLLYWOKE stuff. I never miss those episodes, and especially the ones you also got on your show with Ritter. It's a great update to what's going on in Ukraine, Russia.
Well, thanks. And, I'll just say this, I pride myself in like being a real person. I tell people this, my dad was a longshoreman, wore a hard hat. I was going to this, worked on the waterfront, drove a pickup truck. You know what I mean? He was a regular guy. So I grew up hearing regular guy language, and his friends they went fishing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, I didn't go to Ivy League schools and I didn't do all that kind of stuff. I'm just a regular guy. And I think that's why I pride myself in just speaking the language of the regular guy and girl or whatever the hell, because that's the way I came up. That's the reality. I think that a lot of Americans came up. And so I think that's why one of the reasons that I think I can connect with a lot of people, because they're like, yeah, he's not bullshitting us. He's just saying what he's, like it or not, he's saying what he thinks.
Yeah, I think that's important because that's what I pride myself, try to be the regular guy, because I look to people I look to reach or to move or to get involved are not the people who are deep inside the rabbit hole, who are smart academics. I want to be able to empower working people to say, hey, man, you can pay attention to what's going on in politics. You don't have to listen to all these people. You can do your own research. You can make your own opinions. It's like that movie, The Big Short. They say they have the Wall Street people are there because they want you to believe that you need them to fix something, like they're smart. I think that's what happens in our politics. And when guys like me, you, Matt, when we do this right now and we're connecting with the everyday average person, I think that's powerful. And it's also necessary because unfortunately, a lot of the good stuff that we listen to, it gets really deep. My mom would watch and she's like, that went over my head. You guys talked about 3 people I didn't know. But when I watch your show here, you're really connecting.
The last thing I'll say to that is I learned a lot during COVID. And one of the things I learned that during COVID, that all of these people who thought they were like, oh, yes, I went to some vine-covered university, I went to all the blah, 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 believed everything they were told. And that, like, I connected with the people who just said, I got some questions about this. The government's telling me this health policy, but okay, fair enough. Why are they saying this? So why should I do? How does this help? They just had like questions of the common man. And I'm like, you know what? There's a intellectualism to the common man that you don't find in, say, academia, because the people in like academia, yeah, they learn all of these big finangled, words, and they learn all of this history, and they can quote all kinds, Voltaire and stuff like that. But a lot of them don't have sense to ask the powers that be for justification. They're in that system and they trust that system. And those of us who never trust the system say, yeah, I know what they said, but I need a little more than that. And I think COVID was a huge lesson for a lot of people.
Yeah, it definitely was. And for me, getting in this space with you guys, I mean, this is what it's all about, is the questioning. It's right off the bat, when we get the script and as you guys know, coming from Hollywood, we call it HOLLYWOKE now, but you get your script, right? And the first thing you got to do is say, what's between the lines? What is not being said? And so I apply that right to this space. What you guys have been doing so exceptionally. The only thing I'm shocked about is that more people don't do it. It seems so obvious to me that we do this, that we look at the script that they give us and we say, what's not being said? What are they leaving out? And to get curious, get skeptical, and be skeptical until proven otherwise. And I think that, yes, Garland, exactly. COVID, if anything, that was the blueprint about what to do versus what not to do. And if you got it right, or even if you got it wrong, but you figured out that you got it wrong, now you know how to do it. And we just apply that to everything moving forward. And that's how we do it here on this show. So I love these conversations with you both. And I think that what better subject to bring up right now other than Ukraine, because what other subject has affected us as far as our ability to do journalism and the sanctions that were put on by Joe Biden, and claiming that any sort of discussion against the Western Empire was considered propaganda for Russia, when we're just asking questions. But Garland, you've been doing all the great work in that regard for the last 3 years on this topic and beyond, and before that even, which is the point. You got to get historical context, not just the day that Putin wakes up and decides, I want to take over the planet. That's not the story. There's more to it. So here we are right now.
Well, he didn't want to just take over the planet. He wanted to recreate the old Soviet Union first. And when that's done, then take over the planet.
Yes.
Then take over.
Yes. The next Hitler. They're always the next Hitler.
You got to throw in the Red Scare first to sell it. So,
yes. Yes.
The domino effect, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to play this little clip of Zelensky and his recent little I guess a communication, and this is as a response, or whether he's responding directly or not, but we understand there's protests have been going on these last several days. It's a little different than we've seen before, and he might be getting more scared than usual. He was already kind of acting scared, but here we are. I think some people are saying this is him doubling down on the dictator language as kind of an overcorrection of what looks like kind of the end of his reign right now. Let's play this real quick, and I think I'll do the translation here. Okay. I signed a law today that strengthens the security service of Ukraine, which gives the service more opportunities to carry out its combat missions and destroy the occupier, and to conduct special operations to protect Ukraine. The number is increasing, in particular for the units of the SBU, Special Operations Center. These are some of the most effective warriors. Okay, and then of course you guys, you see his presentation, the way the camera's up at him. This is the first time we're not seeing him in a t-shirt. He looks kind of like he's trying to present a little more powerful, a little more, some would say, a little more dictatorship-ish, fascist, whatever the word is. But I want to pass it to you, Garland. Is this any different than the language we've seen from him before? Is there something different happening now? And is this because of, if so, the protests that have been breaking out in Ukraine?
You know, there's definitely some kind of instability going on. And because I don't see Ukraine as a legitimate state, I see it as a puppet state for, the US, EU, and all of that. I say this, is the instability in Ukraine, or is the instability, say, between Washington and London, arguing over? Because in my opinion, but this is my opinion, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but my opinion, other people feel like this, that he is a creation of MI6, right? That when you look at Ukraine, that you're looking at a division of labor, whereas the Brits, they provide, the government and the intelligence for the most part stuff. Where the U.S. is the muscle, we're the goons. We provide the military hardware and stuff like that. France, their job is like the French Foreign Legion. They've got a history of working with mercenaries. So you've got these imperial powers dividing labor up. And in my opinion, the government of Ukraine was put together by MI6. And here's some evidence of that too. When he had the fight with Trump, where'd he go? Straight to London. Straight there, boom, to London, and they all hugged him. Oh, we love him. He's great, blah, blah, blah. That's his home base. That's his source of power. So I think rather than, certainly there's I mean, it's Ukraine's more a concentration camp than anything else. They're kidnapping their own citizens and sending them to the front. So it's a concentration camp. They took like they had like 6 or something TV stations, a bunch of TV channels. They melded them all into one, and all they show is propaganda 24 hours a day. They outlawed all political parties except his. They outlawed everything other than the things that give the propaganda through him to the U.S. So I think what we're looking at is fights or finagling between the Trump administration and London over what to do. I don't think he has any agency. I don't think he has any real power. I think, the organ grinders are in Washington and London, and he's just their monkey. So I think he's a production. So maybe if London wants to keep him in, they say to him, look, we're going to put you in front of this and do that. If you remember, he was in front of a green screen all the time before.
Yes.
But now it's like, okay, let's not go with a green screen. We'll put some fake medals behind you. We're going to put you in this little black thing. You're not going to be in your green janitor's outfit, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's a London production. I think it's all a production. I've come to the conclusion that, very recently, like within the last few minutes, that what we're seeing is squabbling between the powers that use these puppets.
That's interesting, because I would also piggyback the fact that I don't think it's just a MI6 alone, right? Like you did mention France's role, US's role, but I'd also like to interject that the IDF and Israel has a role, because Zelensky's original backer was Igor Kolomoisky, dual citizenship, Zionist with Israel. And as we know, the gates of Zion seem to always go through Israel. A lot of the past prime ministers are actually from that area of Ukraine and whatnot, Odessa and whatnot. But I have 2 questions. So let's start at one point right now, because I'm curious to hear your opinion. The Mark Sloboda effect.
Can I make a quick comment on that? Yes. On that whole Israel thing? Yeah. And let's not forget a couple of things. 20% of the Israelis are Russian Jews.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing I found out when the Soviet Union collapsed, right? When it fell apart, you had a lot of Jewish people that now you have a country that, it's poverty, it's a world of trouble, and neoliberals are picking it to pieces in the 90s. So you had a bunch of Jewish people that said, well, heck, I can go to a country that's economically sound. I'm going to move to Israel, and then I'm Jewish, so I can do that. But you also had a lot of people who could get their paperwork destroyed who says, yeah, I'm Jewish too, who weren't. But they wanted to get out of a collapsing country and get into another one. Yeah. So you have issues where there are people between Israel and other places who aren't necessarily Israeli, who aren't necessarily Jewish, who are up to all kinds of things. Though there's a lot more that meets them eye to Israel. And let's not forget, it was the Brits who created Israel. So MI6 still has a strong foundation in the Israeli government. I mean, and with the Mossad and in Israel, a powerful foundation. MI6 is, so it only makes sense that Israel would be part of the Ukraine project, which some think is actually kind of intellectually and philosophically led by MI6 more so than the US.
Yeah. The shame about it is that, like you said, there's a lot of, I think Russia has a sensitivity. Like, in other words, you won't hear Lavrov or Putin, go forth and fund the Israeli government for a genocide, but they'll always acknowledge their right to exist. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there are a lot of Russian Jews that are living over there. There's a history of it's a questionable history about, pogroms in Russia, which Putin kind of talks out against, but that is there.
And they got a lot of money and power. They have a lot of money and power. So it's a situation, if you're a Russian politician, you have to acknowledge that reality.
But the reality is also that Israel has been funding Ukraine too as well. Yep. And that weaponry has been used to kill Russians. It's a quagmire at best. That leads me to my next question. Okay. So I call it the Mark Sloboda effect, right? I believe that Ukraine was looking for an exit ramp to get out of there. They were going to seize the territory taken by Russian, stop, set up shop, bring BlackRock, Vanguard in there, turn it into a 15-minute city. All right, they got the Russian-speaking areas, but whatever the case may be, they were going to cut ties, find a way to get out there, and still maintain a country, a U.S. proxy country. Now, when Mark Sloboda told me that, no, it's not going to end, and this is months and months ago, and I'm like, you're right. They're not going to end this. Trump is not going to end this. When Trump got in, I believe he never had the power to end it. Like his superiors said, no way, that he was just barking, whatnot. What's going to happen now? How does this end? Is this just going to be an every day effect? If this is a common thing now, Ukraine and Russia will be at war for a while, or will Russia have no choice, Garland, in your opinion, but to take Kiev? Because they're never going to allow a government that is just so many Nazis in it, right? They have so much power, whether it be the street justice, their parliament, their presidency now doing business with Nazis. How can the Russian Federation ever exist next to a country like that? Aren't they going to have to take Kiev? And the little cherry on top of that, Garland, isn't that what the West, the French, the Americans, they want? Because now they can expand NATO even more, going, look what Russia's doing. It's Putin starting the USSR again. Your thoughts?
If I can I, let me try. Can I share?
Sure.
Sharing is caring.
Share
Of course.
screen. And boom. Now, if you could share that screen.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so let me move it a little smaller. Now, if you look at Europe, you see how big Europe is, and Western Europe's over there. Look at the Russian border, right? And look at Belarus and Ukraine, how much of Russia's border that is.
Yeah.
See, they tried to do the U.S., Britain, West, NATO tried to do a color revolution in Belarus, but it didn't work. So the Russians kept Belarus and brought it in as a union state. Look at Ukraine. Look how much of the border that is on Russia. So if they were able to take Ukraine and Belarus and get that border, then Russia's got real problems. But if Russia has Belarus and Ukraine and becomes and controls the Black Sea, it becomes real difficult, because the only thing really that the West can do is go. You see up there where like Latvia, Lithuania, these little two countries, Estonia, they got that little border there.
Yeah.
And of course Finland. But the problem with Finland is there's like 6 million people in Finland. It's mostly open nothingness. How do you attack them from there? You're in the wide open, you're going to get bombed, and it makes it difficult. So if you look at Ukraine and Belarus, there's this huge border. It makes it almost impossible for NATO to attack Russia through Estonia and Latvia, that little teeny border. For them, what are they going to do? Bunch of 500,000 troops up in that little teeny area and come through there? So that's why, if you look at a map, you see how critical Ukraine is when you put it beside Belarus to Russia. So the bottom line is, Russia's going to do what they have to do to protect their border. There's the term of border, right? But there's another term, and the other term is strategic border. And that is, okay, this is our physical border, but strategically, what areas around our border could someone threaten us from? And Ukraine is Russia's strategic border, and Russia is going to fight, and they're going to take all the parts that they need to protect their strategic border. Now, what they say is, we need the term they've used is cordon sanitaire. In other words, a clean zone,
a buffer zone,
right? So that the Ukrainians can't bomb them. It's really a buffer zone from NATO. They want a buffer zone so they can say, we got a spot all along the border of Ukraine and all the way down to the Black Sea where they can't come get us. And it makes it almost impossible for NATO to go to war with us, for them to attack us like they always would like to do. So bottom line, what I'm saying is, I don't know exactly how Russia sees, how much of that they see that they need, how deep that they need to go. Do they need to go into Kiev? Good part of it. Russia's going to do what it needs to do to protect this border, as would any country, and to create a zone deep enough that it makes it near impossible for NATO to attack them. And then they're going to fortify that zone with troops and bases and missiles and all kinds of stuff, as any country would do. That's how it ends. Russia, when they say, we're happy that we have a big enough buffer zone that NATO can't come get us, then we're going to hold that, and we don't care. They're not really going to care how NATO reacts, because
and you think that could be obtained without taking Kiev, is what you're saying? When you look at the map, I think your impulses. I mean, nobody knows this.
I think they take Kiev, definitely Odessa.
Yeah,
I think they go to Odessa because they're going to want all along that Black Sea to protect their borders. So yeah, I think At some point, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, people are like, well, what is NATO going to do then? Here's the thing. I don't know if you know this, just the other day, NATO, you know, Trump and everybody sent a whole bunch of new stuff, right? They sent some new Patriots and all of that, and all of this new hundreds of millions worth of equipment. And it got to the airport and unloaded, and the Russians knew where it was and blew it all straight to hell with missiles. Yeah. So I think while when the Russians move on Kiev and probably cut off Odessa, I don't think they want to attack Odessa, you know, a beautiful city of the pearl and the history. I think they're going to cut it off, probably lay siege to it. But I do think that even though NATO may wish to stand up and do something, I don't think NATO is going to really have the horsepower to do anything. They don't have the men, they don't have the soldiers, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the missiles. They're being demilitarized. Everything they send to Ukraine gets blown to hell. They may want to fight Russia to stop them from taking Kiev. I don't think they have the capacity to do it anymore. We're getting weaker and weaker.
So the theater you pointed out earlier with Zelensky, which I guess we're saying it's been theater the whole time, but this isn't the script that was written at first, right? This isn't the initial, hey, we're recruiting you, Zelensky. We're literally taking you off of a theater stage. You've played the president. You've done all this theatrics, your entire acting career. You're perfect. You're a perfect choice. We were going to get Martin Sheen, but you're even a better choice. So we're going to stick you. But they had like 2 seasons worth of material. They kind of ran out. So are they ad-libbing? Are they improvising right now? Like when we look at Trump, and I want to bring Trump into the equation because remember he ran on ending the Ukraine war in the first 24 hours. Obviously that didn't happen. But are we seeing now that he doesn't have any power either? His relationship with Putin doesn't even really seem to matter. His relation with Zelensky clearly doesn't matter. Where are we right now in the puppeteering of this? And is it something that is just being done on a day-to-day basis while the puppets that we see on TV, whether it's Trump or Zelensky, are just waiting for their next like cue call of when to be on, when to be on stage, when to be in their next cue? What who's deciding this, and is it happening on a day-to-day basis right now?
Well, here's what I think. A great B movie called Tremors, right? I loved Tremors. It was a great B movie. It was hilarious. And in there, I'll never forget one of the lines where the monsters are coming to get them. And one guy says to the other, "What do you do?" He says, "What's the plan?" And he says, "Run." And he says, "Running ain't a plan. Running's what you do when a plan don't work." Right? Yeah. That's what they're doing. They're doing now what they do when a plan don't work. They're in a situation now where they all along in the very beginning, the intention was to get this war fired up, to put these big sanctions in Russia, and Russia's going to fall apart, and boom, you win, right? You come in and you take all the natural resources of Russia. Once that didn't work, they were just reacting to whatever happened. They're trying to put out fires. So I think you got 2 things going on here. Number one, they never had a plan when their economic war on Russia to destroy Russia didn't work. That's why they just keep adding more sanctions. Oh my God, if we just do a little bit more of it, few more sanctions, something else, that'll work, because they never had a plan for what to do. And I think, I go back to this, I think what we're seeing is infighting. I think you got this group wants to keep Zelensky. This group wants to stop. This group wants to continue. No, we've got to go all in and attack, fight Russia. This group says, let's get the hell out and we'll go after Iran or China. And so I think what you're looking at is infighting, various factions fighting with each other. And that's why it's not smooth. You know what I mean? And that's why one day you're like, okay, I see why they did that. And the next day you're like, well, hell, that doesn't make sense. I understand the way they were going here and what they were going to do. Well, I guess they're going to rub Zelensky out, but now it looks like they're not going to rub, because there's various factions fighting for supremacy to get their various plans going. That's my thought.
I think that Matt's question was a little incomplete. And by the way, the first Nixonism of the day has been uses the movie Tremors to get that first Nixonism out of the day. I love that. If you had that on your bingo card, congratulations. And I think, Matt, we was talking about the actors. Like, well, we also, in your opinion, who's going to play Zelensky in the movie? Is it going to be Ben Stiller, or is it going to be Sean Penn? Sean Penn did give up. I think Stiller came over there.
Stiller's going to direct. He wants to direct. He's going to direct Sean Penn.
He's going to direct Sean Penn, and Sean Penn's going to play Zelensky. Wow.
Too bad, because they could have used De Niro, and he could have, let me introduce you to my little friend. It had the whole pile of coke and all that kind of stuff.
It's going to be interesting. I wonder who's going to play Putin in the movie. All right. So how does this affect us now? How does this affect us as Americans? The fact that we're paying for this war, right? It's coming out of our pockets. I mean, A lot of people from the hurricanes in the Carolina, from the fires in Lahaina, pointed out the fact that they are insulted that they get offered $800 per household while they're shipping off all this money to Ukraine. Does this mean endless war now in this area? Because we also see what's going on with Gaza. That's crazy. Did you know that we've been bombing Somalia on a regular basis, like since Donald Trump came back in office?
Sudan too.
Yeah. What's that?
Sudan also.
Sudan too as well. So how does this affect us right now with Ukraine? Because I think a lot of people in the Trump administration, or at least Trump supporters, weren't necessarily anti-war, because they're okay with what's going on in Gaza because Hamas. But I think they also were hoping that they would take the burden of the finances off the American taxpayer. Does Donald Trump's now, Ukraine's going to pay for it? Is that going to justify endless war over here in Ukraine? And what happens to us? You know, Garland, you worked for Sputnik for a long time. I was hanging around the studios. I was in Miami in their studios. I was on RT all the time. You know, there's some really good journalism that has gone away. Yeah. How does this affect us overall?
A couple of things. I think, and I've been talking about this recently, we're seeing the political destabilization in the United States. You know, the Democrats now have the lowest approval rating that they've had since they've been keeping approval ratings. 8% of Democrats approve of the Democrats' policies on Israel and Israel's military actions. 8%. That means 92% don't. And I believe that a big part of the approval rating downfall of the Democrats has to do with, Gaza, but of course, foreign policy. Trump's people, they're unhappy with foreign policy. So I think what we're seeing is a political destabilization in the United States, where there were people who thought there was some hope. Maybe they'll bring Trump in. He's given us some good, making some good promises. He's saying some good things. And between his inability in the Ukraine conflict, his refusal to accept the reality of what it is. He can't really accept what it is, that it's a regime change operation against Russia and that there was a regime change. He has to continue to pretend like Ukraine is some independent sovereign nation and they just happen to get into a fight. He can't really even acknowledge the U.S. is using Ukraine as a weapon against Russia. So the bottom line is, it's destabilizing politically, and people are losing, which is good. They should lose hope, because there ain't no hope that these people are going to do the right thing. It's waking people up. That's what it's doing. Political destabilization at home. The other thing, I think, the big thing that Ukraine is doing, but that's in concert with Iran and the Israeli conflict, is demilitarizing NATO and the U.S. We're running out of stuff, and we don't have the industrial capacity to rebuild the military industrial, the war material as fast as it's being blown up, destroyed, and used. So that is one of the big things that's affecting U.S. foreign policy, is the inability to prosecute military conflicts. The Houthis ran Biden out in about a month or two. They ran Trump out in a month or so. And the U.S., everybody knows the U.S. military cannot have a sustained military action, 10, 12 days, and we're out of missiles, and everybody knows that. So the political destabilization is the big thing. And the second, of course, is the military destabilization and the demilitarization of the U.S. empire.
Well, one more question about the where we're at on the timeline, and this is from the point of view of the Democrats, who we know were the ones championing this thing from the beginning, right? This idea of the saving democracy, and a lot of us were like, "Well, what are you guys doing? This is Iraq all over again, Afghanistan all over again," but yet you're the ones pushing this and not trying to stop the Dick Cheney and Bush machine. So it was very weird at the time. Are we any closer now that Trump is imitating exactly Biden's policies? It's absolutely 100% clear that even if you still think that we're doing something to stop Putin and it's the right thing to do, just to understand that both parties are on the same side doing the same policy. It doesn't matter if Biden, Harris, or Trump. Are we any closer now for the Democrats waking up and saying, well, if Trump's doing it right now, maybe in the long run, maybe we got this wrong a little bit. Maybe we didn't really do the right thing? Are we there yet? So I know, I mean, I'm not saying we're there, but are we closer to that in any way? Are the Dems exactly where they were on day one, where we said we warned Putin and now we have to show him that we mean democracy.
And by the way, I just like to say, Garland, I think that, and I talked to Matt about this before, I didn't think Trump had the ability to end the war and lift the sanctions, but I hoped he did. And I know you were kind of in that camp. There were some people of it, because we've been through the Democrats before, and we see what we get with them. They are censoring people left and right. They don't care. They have this fascist mentality. Maybe Donald Trump is an outsider. He can do it. He didn't do it. What are your thoughts there now, too, as well?
I think overall, darn it, I forgot. Remind me, Matt, what Matt's question was too.
Oh, no. I guess they're kind of piggyback off each other, but the initial idea is, are we at a different time now that the Democrats can see that it's the same uniparty doing the same military policies, and even though their bad guy Trump is doing the same thing Biden does this get them closer to saying, oops, we got that wrong, or is it makes them just more confused and they just have a self-destruct, cannot compute moment?
I don't know that regarding Ukraine, like things like Ukraine and Russiagate, that the Democrats will for this reason. You know, I read a great book called The Confidence Game, why it was like the confidence game, why it works every time, right? And it was about confidence game, con artist, right? Confidence artist. But one of the things that I learned from that I think I can apply here, that I now remember the discussion, and that is when a person has been conned, when a person has been lied to, and it's very embarrassing. And one of the most embarrassing things for a human being to do is to say, I've been had, I've been took, I've been conned, because we all want to believe that we're smart. Every person wants to believe that they're smarter than the next person, right? And if you admit that you've been snookered, you got to kind of admit it yourself that you ain't smarter than the next person. And that's hard, right? And so if you're a Democrat and somebody comes to you and says, well, when it comes to Russiagate, here's some evidence. If you admit that, we've seen it with COVID too, where you try to tell somebody, well, here's some evidence that this happened, and they just kind of look at you like, that does not compute, that does not compute. They kind of walk away. What happens is it's so difficult for people to accept that they've been snookered, because then they got to ask themselves questions like, am I stupid? Well, no, they're not stupid. They're human beings. But that's the reason I think that a lot of people, Democrats, are going to hold on to Russiagate. They're going to hold on to Putin is evil, Ukraine, whatever the case may be, because to admit that they've been had causes them to ask some uncomfortable questions about their own beliefs and their ideological beliefs and their cultural beliefs. And people don't want to do that. It's very hard for people to say, I got took, I was had, I was misled, because then they got to ask some more questions. Well, things that they're telling me right now, if they snookered me about other things, isn't it possible they could be snookering me about something right now? So I don't know how many times I've talked to people who are, diehard Democrats, friends, family members, or whatever, and they'll say, oh yeah, this is true. And I say, okay, I will give you one piece of evidence that's irrefutable about that. And you know what? We can search online. I can print it out if you want to. Here's that piece of evidence. And they look at it, and you see this look on their face, this like, that look of cognitive dissonance, that look that says, crap, that is right. But that doesn't align with what I believe, and everybody that I know believes, and it has to be true. And what do I do now? And their eyes just kind of glass over, because it becomes no longer about whether it's true or false. It becomes now about how do they deal with these internal contradictions.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to that, there's a lot of Democrats now that they will never be able to deal with the internal contradictions that they have to face. And so as they will believe these things as a matter of faith. So there is no evidence that you could give them. There is nothing that's going to happen that's going to change their mind against Ukraine or Russiagate, simply, or COVID, whatever the case may be, simply because it's almost part of their culture to believe it, almost like a religion, an act of faith.
Is there an in-between though? Because I'm looking at the timeline with Iraq, and there certainly were people on the Republican side that said, hey, if we did the best with the information we had at the time. And I would apply that to COVID too. There's people that they don't have to admit they were had. They just have to admit that we didn't know what we were dealing with, because we did our best. But we have to reposition our mind now, because we can't exist in that time anymore, because that time is gone. That fantasy's gone. Yet so they don't have to take responsibility that they got tricked. but they have to reposition politically. I'm just thinking, are we even one like inch closer to that if they can say, oh wait, Trump is doing the thing that Biden was doing? Is that maybe we have new information now that's going to make us kind of back off and take our Ukrainian flags out of our social just a little bit of a step back now? Or is it just like you said, it's this tribal mentality that they won't waver absolutely not 1 inch?
I think we're getting there, but it's a slow crawl. And I think what happens, because the whole 2003 weapons of mass destruction, right? And I was one of those people, as I always am, saying, they're lying to us. We're being had, right? That's like what I'm going to say no matter what the government does. And it always seems to be true, right? But back then I was doing that. And I had people, well, we've got to fight them over there, so they won't have to fight them here. They hate us because of our, our values or whatever, right? They would just, okay. And it probably took like 5 to 8 years later where it started, you know what I mean? Where enough people were moving over that now it feels safe. A lot of people in my circle are now like, yeah, I guess we were lied to about weapons. Yeah, what do you think? Yeah. Okay, it's now safe. So I think with this, sadly, enough time has to pass that these people feel emotionally safe. That lots and lots, you just can't even deny it anymore. It's so obvious. So much evidence is out. Books have been written. Whistleblowers have come out. And all these things are happening. Slowly, it becomes safe to come out and say, well, I guess I was snookered. But everybody was snookered, not just me. So since everybody was snookered, it's safe to be snookered.
Yeah.
And I think that's the direction you were going. But it's a slow crawl if this is anything like WMDs. Although I will say this. For COVID, I was pleasantly surprised that a lot of people within a couple years started coming around. There's still some diehards, you're in Hollywood, but I'm just saying, slowly there's some people are coming around a little faster a lot faster in COVID than they did with weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, I think it was a shame towards the end of the presidency race. Dr. Cornel West had admitted that he was willing to go open and listen to people. And we were trying to scramble to get something together to get in front of him. And I understand there's probably a lot of pushback against Dr. Cornel West and where he stands and what he does. But, I mean, I thought that was pretty fascinating, the fact that people were coming around like, all right, I'm going to listen what's going up. I said I wanted to create a space, the left talking about COVID. It's time for us to talk about COVID because there are so many, traps in which the left, the American left, believed in that used to be everything they stood against, right? And the number one issue for Democrats was, and this is Democrat voters, was healthcare for all. And they understood that the pharmaceutical lobbyists, along with the industry, were some of the worst people around there. Yet they wanted to capitulate and believe them. All of a sudden now, these people are being good. They care about public health when it was always just a for-profit motive and you were against it. I do want to ask.
Can I make one quick statement on that?
Of course.
Before we go, I think it's important. And you probably know this. I have worked with the ACLU. I had worked for the ACLU, right? Public policy, doing public policy and all kinds of stuff in the government. And so I'd been with the ACLU for years. And I had moved up to the point where I was on the National Board of Directors for the American Civil Liberties Union. I resigned during COVID. They literally wrote, this is, just shows you how bad the so-called left had gone. The ACLU, I just knew when they came out with the mandates that the ACLU was going to say, yep, we're going to fight it in court. And I was all ready for that. And our national legal director literally wrote a op-ed for the New York Times that said, no, vaccine mandates protect our rights and we need to have them. And the vaccine's safe and effective. And I resigned and I sent a letter of resignation and I said, do not ever associate my name with the ACLU ever again. And I sent them a screenshot and I said, how can you as an attorney write that it's safe and effective? Here's a screenshot from Pfizer's website where they say under question and answers, we are still gathering data to determine whether it's low. There's to determine the long-term safetiness of this. And I'm like, the people that make it say they don't know if it's safe long-term, and the ACLU, and you're a damn lawyer and a law professor, says, whatever evidence you got, you need to send it to Pfizer because apparently they don't have it yet. I'm out of here. I quit. And they said, well, we'd like to talk to you about that. And I'm like, no, thanks. I got nothing to talk about. This is not the ACLU that I've been working with for all of these years.
It's funny because that's the first thing I say when I talk to a lefty or an independent-minded person about COVID. The first thing I'll ask them, well, have you looked at Pfizer's own data on their vaccine? No. Well, why don't you just look at there and start there, and then we'll go from there. But I think the fact that we were reporting on COVID is more than just a virus and a vaccine. It was more about control and what public, lawmakers can do as far as when they have emergency powers, how they can affect the law and affect society. I think a lot had to do with that and getting them on QR codes. You talked about the Democrats and how it is, and it's like when you were on stage at the first Rage Against the War Machine. It's like you were like, I'm a lefty, I'm a hardcore lefty, and I'm like, that's who I am, and too as well. And I would always tell Beverly, like, yeah, me and Garland align a lot. We are actually true leftists, which I believe are anti-imperialist, free press. Civil liberties, our voice, First
bodily
Amendment,
autonomy.
bodily autonomy.
Used to be.
I think that the true leftist, the anti-imperialist leftist, I don't know where they stand on immigration. I know a lot of them stand. Like, I think Max Blumenthal probably has the same, and Anya have the same opinions about me about immigration because we've been down to Latin America. We've seen the occupation. We believe that it's a direct response. We're lefties. We know that. What are your thoughts now on the right, the Donald Trump people, almost mimicking the same behavior, the confirmation bias, the going along? I mean, I could still support Donald Trump and be mad at the pedophiles. Homeboy, your man just said that the Epstein files were a hoax, like Russiagate. What are your thoughts now with the right doing what the left did with the confirmation bias and allying to themselves because they were part of a tribe? What are your thoughts when you see that right now with the Trumpers doing the same thing despite all the evidence against them?
I think a couple of things. Number one, that shouldn't be surprising to anyone because that's a dynamic. And when people have been had and schnookered, it is very embarrassing to. And so whenever people get a point where it becomes more and more obvious that they've been lied to, they're going to struggle with that. They're going to struggle with, how do I face that? How do I deal with that? And they start recovering they start off by making excuses. No, I wasn't lied to. That couldn't be, right? But slowly but surely, they have to start, some of them, a lot of them have to start facing the truth. I tell you what I'm glad about. I'm glad that there is some instability there, that within that milieu of Trump supporters, which there's a lot, people just act like there's one little group of, that every Trump supporter is the guy with a pickup truck and a shotgun rifle in the back and a camouflage hat. That's and he's chewing tobacco. There's this stereotype of Trump. There's a lot of different people. I've known a lot of different people that are, that are conservatives or whatever, voted for Trump for various reasons. Black people that voted for Trump, you name it, right? Women, you name it, economic reasons, everything, right? But I think that it is good that in that whole group, that there are people that are starting to say, I hate Trump's guts. He lied to me. There are people that are starting to say, they're all a bunch of liars. I question the system. I think it's good. We're starting to see the instability. We're starting to see the questions rise. I think that it's like there's a hole in the boat. Man, once the water starts coming in, it's going to keep coming in. And I think there's a hole in the boat now. And yeah, there's people trying to pretend like they're rain. Everything's going to be fine, what have you, trying to hold on. But I do think that there's a leak. And that leak's just going to continue, and bit by bit. And Trump's caught, man. He's in a world of deep and serious trouble. He's still trying to pretend like he's the blue class billionaire and he's representing the working class people. But he can't do that and be president, because as the president, he is representing the empire. He's representing the billionaires and the ruling class. So it's getting impossible for him to square that circle. And as he tries harder and harder, and then he gets frustrated and just says, I'm the one who decides what's America first, not you. What else the hell else is he going to do? Is he going to tell him the truth, that it was all a fraud? So this is, at least, I'm going to be positive, the first stages of the MAGA people waking up. They were still Republicans. If you're still a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican, whoever you think that somebody in that party or that some element in that party is going to save you and turn things around and represent you. Well, now they're starting to wake up to say, well, Democrats are crap. I know that. And if I realize that the Republicans are crap and they're here lying to me and they're going to snooker me too, well, perhaps I need to go in another direction, like where we are, you know. And so I think I see it as a positive thing.
Yeah. Where does that direction? Where do we go, in your opinion? Where does the voter go?
That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that, but I do think we have to start by getting outside, by recognizing that there is no hope in this Democrat Republican. No hope. Lose hope. Democrats and Republicans don't work for you. You are fuel for the ruling elite, to be burned for the ruling elite, and they have nothing but contempt for you. And the reason they hate us the most is because we ain't listening to them. We're exposing them, and we're telling people we're no longer going to comply. And that the more of us say we will not comply, the closer we get to having a bottom-up system where the people down here make the decisions, not the ruling elite. And we're not going to tolerate a bunch of liars getting us to vote for them.
Yeah,
just so they can get in office,
saying, right? Recognizing the problem is what we do right now before we figure out a way to go forward. Is that pretty much?
And one other thing, and recognizing the problem ain't Biden, the problem ain't Trump. You know, one of the games that the Democrats are playing now is, Epstein, Trump won't do it because he's in his picture's in it. Let me tell you something. Biden was in for 4 years. Epstein died in 2019. 4 straight years, Biden could have did it. He didn't. And now the only reason if Trump's name wasn't in it, he couldn't. Here's the reason that Trump, and if you're in the Senate and you're in the House, it's not that you're in it, it's the people that own you are on that list. The people who pay your bills, the people who keep you, in office, your masters and your bosses are all the ones that are on that list. So you can't do it. And that also helps the average person to realize they don't work for you and you ain't their masters and their bosses.
Yeah.
You are the people that their masters, that they protect their masters and their bosses from.
Yeah. And I think that this is the moment. I agree with both you guys. This is a significant moment of shifting, because the MAGAs who've had enough, and I think you talk about the leak, Garland. Epstein is the leak. That's it. That's the one that's the iceberg right ahead moment. That's it. It's Epstein. And I think that they're not going to be running back to the Democratic Party. Some, by the way, some left along with. Look at all the people that left the Democratic Party, right? It was the Tulsis, the Joe Rogans, the RFK Juniors, the Elons, so many that said, hey, we're going to go over here because this party needs to be punished. I know a lot of people voted for Trump because they wanted to punish the Democratic Party. So that punishment still remains, right? They don't go back to the Democrat. They say, now we punish both of you. We've given you both a chance.
I hope so.
And now we punish both of you. I think so. I think there's ways to do that. There's we talk about what is the next option? Staying home, right? The protesting of the electoral process altogether, championing a particular third party, writing somebody in. But I do think that there's options within that area of we're done with this uniparty. It's a uniparty. I think they understand. So a lot of them understand now. And I think it's because of Epstein. And again, it's not the way Trump puts it. It's because, Epstein, the guy who killed himself, who cares about that fool? That's not what it's about. It's about that Epstein opens up a curtain that we can't unsee what is behind that curtain. And that is they're all in on it. Like you said, Garland, it's like, why didn't Biden go for the Epstein? So we know they're all in on it. And I do think more particularly, it's their handlers that are making them do the thing or not do their thing. So I think that's the significant place we're at right now. It's happening earlier for the MAGAs. I think we had to wait some time before we saw what Obama did.
Stretched it out, right? Yeah. He used the whole room. Donald Trump and I'm curious about this. Worst grade as a president. I've now officially given Donald Trump a worse grade than Barack Obama after the Epstein debacle. After he did that, I was like, okay, you campaigned on this. Your son talked about this. Your people in your cabinet talk about this. You were supposed to be the outsider that was going to bring the deep state to accountability, right? You're protecting them, and you're protecting the state of Israel. You're the most Zionist president of all time. Your cabinet is. It's ridiculous. What are your thoughts? Worst grade, Barack Obama or Donald Trump?
The times are different. That's the main thing. You know what I mean? To me, they're the same guy in a way. And that is 2008, things were going to hell. And Obama comes in and he's like, I'm going to be different. I'm going to give you hopes and change. The system's going to be changed. You're going to get some kind of change. I'm the nice guy. He was smart, good looking guy with a family, kids, the whole 9 yards. He looked like what you would think America would look like. A man, a wife, 2 children. Okay. Everything looked smooth. He had the look. He was a brilliant guy, the oratory skills, all that stuff. And he's going to give you hope and change, which he never really actually enunciated what that was going to be. But we thought it was going to be good, whatever it was. We were allowed to project. When he said hope and change, we could project what we thought that would be. He gave us a blank screen. Hope and change. What's hope and change? What do you want it to be? Peace. There you go. It's peace, right? So he did that, but it was all a fraud. It was all a lie. It was all a scam, right? To keep us docile for a while, as long as they could. So then people flipped out. Well, we want Trump. We want something different. Trump comes out. He's going to be something different. Same game. Oh, I'm good. But because times are different, Trump had to tell bigger lies. He couldn't get away with just hope and change anymore. That they already played that hand, and that worked for a while. So now he had to go to more people wanted something more concrete. So now Trump had to say specifically, peace it is I'm going to bring you. I'm going to be the peace president. People are like, oh, great, that's what we want. And we're going to lower prices and inflation. And people are like, oh, that's exact. So now, because times are more difficult and the natives are more restless and angrier and ready to start building guillotines, with Trump now, they got to give us very specific things. They can't get away with hope and change anymore. So Trump does the specific things. He was never going to do any of it. He couldn't if he wanted to. Yeah. But that's what they give him. So Trump is caught up at a time when he had to tell very specific lies that will never be kept, that he doesn't have a right to keep. And now he's hung up in that. And if he becomes too much of a liability, they'll throw him to the side. And
oh no.
Let's see here.
He's there.
Okay. We got you.
I don't know what happened. That's weird. I'm back in.
I'm going to kick this one.
Yeah, kick the other guy out.
Got it. Okay.
Kick the other Garland out.
There we go. We're back. Okay.
Yeah. So the bottom line is this, so I see Trump and Obama very much as the same. I see them very much just the system, given a particular time, needed to spit something out. And now, because times are harder, they need a more authoritarian guy. So Trump can say, well, if you stand up and say you're opposed to Zionism, we'll just send you to El Salvador or whatever. The system needs more authoritarian. They need a more of an iron fist. So Trump works for them. And then they can pound on people who might, protest against Palestine. And we'll just say that Trump, he's a fascist. And we won't say this is what the system is doing, but really it's just Trump. Well, why are they doing the same damn thing in UK? Same damn thing all over Europe. Same damn thing in Europe. It's just Trump. Trump isn't in the UK. And then Trump goes over to the UK and says, I don't like what you guys doing. You cracking down on people. And then he comes back and says, anybody protesting against Palestine? Yeah, lock them up, throw them out of the country. Oh, by the way, if they try to come into the country, make sure you look at their phone to say they haven't said anything negative about Israel, because we stand against authoritarianism. And the system can blame it on Trump. And when we get so pissed that we can't take it anymore, they can throw Trump aside and bring Peter Thiel's boy in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like that might be the next move. We should predict when that's going to happen. I don't know if Trump's going to make it to the end of the term, the rate he's going, and he looks like he's definitely cracking under pressure.
He looks weathered.
He does look weathered. Let me show this clip to you. I don't know if you guys saw this one. It's not so much. You could say it's not so much a big deal. It looks like just a miscommunication.
It's a big deal.
It might be a miscommunication slip, but it's a sign of this wear and tear. I feel he's getting very, very early on in this. I mean, we're barely to 6 months of this presidency, this second term, and he's making pretty big mistakes like this one.
I mean, this guy just thinks he can say what he wants, lie all the time. And really, to tell you the truth, Garland, I'm calling for a step back to get back to normalcy about what the president should be. I have a little video after you give your opinion on this from legendary investor Charlie Munger talking about some of the traits and some of the characteristics that Donald Trump has that we as Americans really shouldn't want this guy to be president. We want somebody who's going to say we can do better, not say we're the great, who's going to be able to take it on the nose, be humble, be compassionate. We don't have that anymore. We have a WWE wrestler saying, I'm the greatest ever all time. He's talking like Muhammad Ali, but he's got the record of Leon Spinks.
you want to do that?
My man, Leon Spinks was a pretty good vet until he got knocked out by Tyson in his own weight class. Leon Spinks was very, very good. The interesting thing about
the
interesting thing about Leon Spinks, and there is an analogy there. I'm glad you brought him up. Leon Spinks was extremely successful until he went up against. This is a great analogy until he went up against Mike Tyson. And why? Look, he was so unorthodox. People would say, you know, you're supposed to lead with this. You're supposed to be smooth. He was falling the wrong way. He was off balance. He was punching when he shouldn't punch. You know, he was moving when he shouldn't move. And he knocked people out because people were like, well, wait a minute. I'm an orthodox fighter. When I do this, the guy's supposed to do that. And he does that. And he knocks me the hell out. Who knows where this guy's going to be or what he's doing? So he, as was Trump, he was very, very successful because he was unorthodox until he got in over his head. And then he got his ass knocked out. Right? Yeah. Trump has been successful, especially politically. He's been successful. Even his first time around, they came after him and all, but he became president. I got to say, you beat everybody. Not everybody can do what Trump did. And the second time, he did the fry cook thing. He did the trash truck, yellow vest thing. That was, politically, it was brilliant. Trump was unorthodox, just like Spinks, and he was very successful. But then he got in the right ring with Putin, the effectively Mike Tyson. But no, all jokes aside, he got in, and now he gets in. He's got Russia, he's got Iran, he's got the Gaza, he's got real things. He bullcrapped his way in an unorthodox way to become president. But once he got in, he had real, serious, like Abraham Lincoln-sized problems. He's not big enough to fight Mike Tyson. He's not competent enough to handle the kind of problems that takes a real president, not a bullshitter. Yeah. And Trump bullshitted his way in an orthodox way until he got in the ring, and he just is unable. He's not. Yeah. And now, the first time they were after him, he was sharper than he is now. He got times weren't as bad. He got away with that. Now, this time around, I don't think he's as sharp as he was. I've heard people who've been in a room with him say, yeah, he ain't sharp as he was the first time around. And the problems are so huge that it really would take a person who was competent and politically savvy to handle them. He can't do it. He can't handle them. He's in over his head. He's in over his depth right now. It's clear he's in over his head.
Yeah. And for the record, a lot of people feel that Leon Spinks was taking some type of drug when he fought Muhammad Ali, because Muhammad Ali kept on pounding him. He kept on sipping on this one cup they kind of pointed to. That was a conspiracy theory, but that was interesting to fight against Muhammad Ali. Here's Charlie Munger. Once again, listen what he has to say about this whole situation. I'll put the volume up to make sure. Ready? Here we go.
I'm interested in your take when it comes to politics and the economy on Donald Trump. Trump has been all over the media saying he's a hugely successful businessman and would know how to run this country better than it's being run now. He told me that many of the leaders we have right now in government aren't very smart. Would Donald Trump make a strong president?
Well, he might be quite decisive. But do I consider Donald Trump an ideal decision maker or manager of anything? And the answer is no. And the last person almost I'd want to be president of the United States is Donald Trump.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I think he has qualities that make him unsuitable for the office.
Those qualities?
Vainglory, puffery to too large an extent. I could go on and on.
Feel free.
No.
He said no. But Garland, when we talk about this, we see this plays into the Make America Great Again thing. Like when people say, what, you don't love America? You don't think America's going to be great again and stuff? It's like, that's not the attitude that I want to go forth, especially living in the empire, right? Because I like Jerry Rice. Touchdown, turn around, hand the ball to the referee. Act as if, have some humility there. When we say make America great again, it seems like we're almost excusing our foreign policy and behavior within the United States. It's genocide, it's ethnic cleansing, everything we've done. When we say make America great again, to some people, they don't hate America. They just want us to be accountable for our actions. And that makes us ignore those actions and not face the consequences. And really, I mean, it comes to what we're going on today. Had we pay attention to what we've done in the past, the horrific atrocities that we've implemented, we would probably be standing up more for what's going on in Israel, Gaza today. But since we allowed a genocide to take place, and a lot of people will say, well, if we didn't clear out the Indians, we wouldn't be here today. So it kind of was justifiable. It seems like we're using it to justify what's going on in Israel, Gaza today. Your thoughts when you hear Munger and these points of view, and getting away from a president who acts the way like everything's great. We'll tell you, Epstein, everything's great, Garland. What are you talking about?
You know, again, paradoxically, I can't think, based on U.S. foreign policy, I couldn't come up with a guy more emblematic of U.S. foreign policy than Donald Trump. He is perfect. He is foreign policy arrogant. We can do what we want. We can invade any country. We can violate any rule on foreign policy. We can attack anybody. We can do anything we want because we're better than everybody. We're the best. We're America. We're the shining city on the hill. That's Donald Trump. U.S. imperial foreign policy is exactly aligned with Donald Trump's, kind of an arrogant, puffed up, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I can do anything I want, I'm better than everybody else kind of stuff, which reveals a weakness and an insecurity, right? That always reveals weakness and insecurity. He is the perfect example. That's why it's freaking people out so bad, because I think intuitively people understand that's why that is American foreign policy. It has been for years, for as long as I know. But I think it's freaking people out because somebody's supposed to be there looking good in a suit saying, we're the nice guys. We're here to, to push, goodness and happiness and puppies and kittens all over the world. And we want peace and love and the American way and blah, 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 blah. Where Trump is pretty much what you see is what you get. Yeah. And that's what foreign policy is, Donald Trump. He's perfectly the best representative I've seen in my life of U.S. imperial foreign policy. It's him. So that's the weird thing about it to me. And that is, you know what, in a way, do I want some guy like Obama, who's going to pretend to be nice and talk nice and say nice and look good in the suit and sound brilliant, but he's trying to overthrow, Syria and this and Ukraine and all this and Libya, blah, blah, blah. Or do I want a guy who's some arrogant jerk, who's just going to be an arrogant jerk, and his policies are going to be the policies of a country whose foreign policy is a policy of arrogant jerks? Yeah, you know what? I'd rather people see what they're up against. So, yes, we know what Donald Trump is, but he does actually represent empire and cleaner than anybody has ever represented empire here, I think.
Yeah. Well, again, this is, I agree that if he was better at bullshitting us, there'd be less MAGAs done with the uniparty. But we have this opportunity to look right in the mirror and say, this guy is the thing. He is the empire. He is exactly the thing we don't want to be. And we're ready to for something different. I think that's been the theme of today's conversation, gentlemen, that we're at a turning point here. Epstein was the leak, and populism is the movement. I think we can really start bringing people together from all the sides and start doing something as humanity needs right now, especially now, right? Do you have anything else?
Well, yeah, I just want to say, if we're getting ready to wrap it up, the scorecard for today, the over-under for Nixonisms was 2.5. It was under today. We had 2 Nixonisms. We had the Tremors movie about running, and we had the con artist book. If you bet the over, I'm sorry, you lost today. We had 2 great Nixonisms. I bet the under today because I was like, I had a feeling. So I was there.
Can I do a book recommendation?
Absolutely.
How about that? Let me find a quick book. Let's see, a book recommendation. How about one that people haven't heard of? Where is it? Here we go. How about one that people haven't heard? Let's go with all of that Phoenix program and blowback. People heard of that stuff. Here's one.
Operation Phoenix.
Israel's Secret Wars. A history of Israelis' intelligence services. Ian Black and Benny Morris. How about that?
Yeah. There's a lot of I've had people tell me that Israel was kind of going around the IDF for years and bombing mosque or what is the Israel Sabbath? Is that what it's called? Their church service, that they were bombing these services in other countries like in Iraq and in Syria, whatnot, because they wanted to put the fear of Jewish people that their only salvation, their only option was to eventually move to Israel. So the IDF was going around and just terrorizing Jewish people in other countries so that they would eventually bolt, so they can create the land of Israel, the state of Israel.
Yeah.
I wonder if that book has a lot of that stuff in there, or maybe talks about some of that.
Not that particular, but it's got a lot of stuff.
It's got a lot of stuff that happened before October 7th. I'm confused, Garland, because I thought that's when everything started. I don't understand. There was nothing before that, right?
They were just before that. The Israelis were just planting olive trees and trying to get along with everybody.
That's it.
Yeah. That's so I don't know. But yeah, if you are curious, guys, about anything that happened before October 7th, I'm reluctant myself. But if you're curious, check out that book. That's a good one. That's yeah. We'll
Ian Black, Benny Morris.
Yeah.
Where's your show, by the way? What days do you do your show? And
different days. Usually Thursdays I have a bunch of guests. Thursdays I usually have Scott Ritter, Mark Sloboda, Andre Martianov, and then I have Larry Johnson. So Thursdays usually the big days, but I have a lot of different people on different days.
That's a powerhouse crew. You know, the show I watch the most is Judge Knapp, because everybody's got a great, you know what I'm saying? And Larry Johnson goes on that show. Ritter goes on that show. I'd like to see you on that show. I hope Judge Knapp invites you, because you'd have a great
I'm going to recommend, if anybody wants to, my favorite show.
Yeah.
On Friday mornings, I have a guy named Dr. Jerry Kuzmarov, and he does Covert Action Magazine, and we talk about all of the horrible thing, MK Ultra, all of the stuff that the CIA has done and the MI6 has done. That's fun. Yeah. That is so much fun. That's the one to watch. CovertActionMagazine.com is his whatchamacallit. But that's man, the stuff I find out.
Jeremy Kuzmarov does a show every Thursday with Gloria Guillot. They record it for WBAI New York, and they do it live on my channel on Pasta to Go on Thursdays. Two Covert Action Magazine people hammering it out together, and they got a lot of great stuff that they're putting up there. I'm getting a little scared, Garland, because they go ahead, and I help produce the show, and they put this on WBAI New York. When you're going on a lefty Pacifica channel, like a Democratic, and you start talking about chemtrails, ooh, you can get in trouble. But Jeremy and Gloria are pushing it. So I'm glad he does. Jeremy, I call him the professor, Jeremy Kuzmarov. I'm glad. Ladies and gentlemen, Garland Nixon here with us. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. We'll have you back again soon to get some more Nixonisms out there.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you soon. Matt, got to have you back on soon.
Oh, can't wait for our next one. Yeah, Garland, we'll be in touch. Yeah.
When we all going fishing? I want to go.
Man, I was out there last night. I was out on the bay yesterday, brother, and we'll be back out tomorrow. I'm out almost daily, at least 3-4 times a week.
Y'all got to come to Florida. You got to get the boat, put it on a hitch, come down to Florida, and let's go get some yellowtail.
All right.
We'll do it. Okay.
All right. Talk to you guys soon. Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. Yeah. All right. Garland Nixon, everybody.
I got to say, this Tuesday show is throwing me for a little bit of a loop, and I am starving. I didn't eat enough before I came on, too, as well.
Okay. Well, we'll take care of you.
I know we can't do that, but
we'll take care of you.
I know we got a lot of show left to go and stuff, but we take a quick break again.
You might have to take your pasta to go there.
I'm glad he loves doing that show with Jeremy Kuzmarov, and Jeremy Kuzmarov does that show, too, with Gloria Guillot on Thursdays. Really good show, and I used to do it. It was eventually left, LOL, left on left. But now with everything going on, they kind of changed it up a little bit, and they're going a little bit different angle with it. But it's still a great show. And, Jeremy Kuzmarov gets a lot of praise from a lot of the people he worked with in this space. They always talk about Jeremy behind closed doors and how good he is and the stuff he comes up with. I call it common sense conspiracy theories, because you're just showing what's documented, what's on paper, what's there that you can wrap your head around without kind of stretching your imagination to say, well, this could have happened with this, and that. He lays out everything that's documented, that's there, and he says, go make your own decision. Some powerful stuff he puts out there. Jeremy Kuzmarov, the professor. Go check out Covert Magazine.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll be right back, guys. We have more show coming up. We got This Week in HOLLYWOKE. We'll do a little talking back with you guys as well. So get your comments on Rumble, on YouTube, and on Twitter. They come up as well. So we get all three platforms at the same time, wherever you're watching it. And we'll be interacting with you soon. And then we have We Know What It's Not. We got a segment. What the heck is going on with Deion Sanders? We're going to look into that as well. Okay, guys, we'll be right back. Here is a word about our sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
Our good friends at World Harvest Food Bank. And we'll be back with you guys very soon. Here we go. World Harvest. This is actually premiere of our
Yeah, let's
new
do it.
spot for
Yeah.
them. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart would cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now. Okay, here we go. We're back. We are back, baby. More homeless left for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys are just getting to us now, no worries. We got some more show for you. If you want to go back and watch the previous segments, they stay up on our Rumble. They're always there. You guys can go back and watch them raw in their entirety on replay. It never comes down on our Rumble channel. We definitely get shadow banned. There's certainly algorithm issues on Rumble and on Twitter, but they never take our content down. That's good. At least not so far. YouTube, that's another story. We got to be a lot more careful in there. But and if you guys just want to jump right to our segments, you can do that very easily on the Rumble channel or YouTube because we upload them regularly. So you can just grab the topic that's most interesting to you and you can utilize it to maybe spark conversation with people in your lives, family, friends, co-workers, people that maybe you had fallouts with over these last few years. Maybe it was during COVID. Maybe it was during the election. Who knows? Maybe somebody said, you know what? I don't want to hear what you have to say because you didn't vote for the person that I voted for. Well, you said, well, listen, here's a topic. We can actually have a discussion about it. It doesn't have to be political. And we've come to see that most of the stuff we cover on this show isn't really political. They tell us it is, but it's really about humanity versus power. That's really what we're talking about here. And guess what, guys? It turns out we have way more common with people that we were told were the bad guy. We have way more in common with them than they wanted us to know. And once we figure that out, well, once they see that we figure that out, they're not going to be too happy. So, and who's they? They's the billionaire class, the elitist gang, whoever it is that wants to keep us pitted against each other and never figure out that the entire system was rigged the whole time. So that's why we're doing this show. And so thanks for being here. Craig, thanks for being here in the home studio, doing the show with us today. We had a great conversation with Garland Nixon earlier.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. So this has been really fun, really fun. And then we had the ad we just played for the World Harvest. I think that was.
By the way, which I just had a quick orange and pear from the World Harvest that I hit up to as well.
Nice.
I had a lot of apples, a lot of potatoes, filled up a cart, got my discount. So really, really cool. If you're in the LA area and you could go over there and support that local business and also help yourself out. You know what I'm saying? Glenn was amazing. Glenn came out and talked. We talked for about a good 20 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So definitely worth checking out World Harvest on Venice and Arlington, right?
Yeah, Venice and Arlington.
Definitely go check it out. Great commercial you made right there too as well. If you want to watch and learn a little bit more about the guy who created the thing 18 years ago, Glenn, go on over to the Homeless Left. Check out the video. Glenn gets into it. Glenn's also from Hawaii, so we were talking about Lahaina and we were talking about Maui, and but great thing. He starts off the show with like, listen, I wanted people to come in here with dignity and pride, not holding their head down, and I understand that there are people out there that want to help the Angelino community, and I'm there to help you out, you know. And he's got a great little thing going. Great little thing going. Go early because some of the produce was out. There was no garlic or onions left when I was there, but we got a bunch of grapes, bunch of melon. I'm going to make some aqua fresas, the cantaloupe kind. I'm going to make some bangers and mash, some shepherd's pie because I got a lot of mashed potatoes. So I'm going to do that. A lot of fun stuff. But he really provides, and it's an amazing thing. So go check out worldharvestfoodbank.org. Go over there. Get yourself a cart with a heart, $50. Fill it on up. It's worth probably like $300. You can't beat it anywhere.
Also, guys, don't forget maybe you didn't see the you didn't see the ad there, but you guys have a special discount from the contribution that you're giving, because it's like $50 to fill up this cart. We told you guys it was like, if you're gonna get the same cart at any other like normal, regular, like whatever commercial store, it's going to be at least $300 to fill up your cart. This one's only $50, but if you guys go in and just mention our show, and it's pretty easy to do that because all you got to do is say THL 20 at checkout, and you get off. Gets down to $40 instead. But even still, you're giving
bring
a
cash.
good cause.
Bring cash.
Bring cash. Yeah, bring cash.
Yeah.
But yeah, World Harvest Food Bank. Yeah,
load you up.
Yep, there it is. Okay, let's get into the next segment. I think it's time to do a little This Week in HOLLYWOKE. I got a fun one for you.
I'm sure.
I'm
going to get educated on this one.
All right.
I don't even.
Here we go. No, it'll be fun. We'll walk you through it. Okay, we'll walk you through it.
You always do in the HOLLYWOKE.
Okay, here we go, guys. Let's go. It's time for some This Week in HOLLYWOKE. We're right here in HOLLYWOKE, so let's do it. Here we go. This Week in HOLLYWOKE, I'm here with Craig Jardula. We're looking at Hollywood. It's right here. We're right here in the middle of the action. Now, a lot of people lost interest in this town because they realize that entertainment has been a distraction, but it's worse than a distraction with all the DEI stuff and all the checking boxes and the destruction of really good content, AI, all that stuff. It just made it really just everything's been going downhill. But I think the reason we cover stories here is because at the end of the day, we realize that Hollywood is just another tool for the establishment to feed us information that is about manufacturing consent for war, for the war machine. That's what it's about. It's always been that way. So we look for ways that they do that. And here we are.
Do you say the CIA is involved with the scripts there to promote wars abroad and using actors like Ben Stiller? And are you saying that, you insider?
I mean,
you're crushing my world. Wait,
Sylvester
Stallone making me root for the Mujahideen had nothing to do with the CIA writing that shit. And here comes the rebels. Then Obama used it. The moderate rebels. Oh my Lord!
It's total coincidence. And when we see movies mirror life, they love to tell us they're all coincidences. Like the new Top Gun, you guys remember that? We covered that one a few weeks back.
I wish I would have saw that.
It happened to exactly be the plot of Trump bombing Iran, and with the precise, just American style, just precision attack, which was beautiful. It was the best attack ever. And you could literally have watched it in the Top Gun 2 movie. A lot of people think that's a coincidence. No, the movie was made to get us on board for the attack. That's how it works, guys. So, yeah.
And it's funny because Trump did like brag about the pilots.
Yeah.
He bragged about the pilots.
It might as well have been Tom Cruise. It might as well have been
in Top Gun, did they bomb Iran? Was it a fictional country?
No, they don't tell you the country, but they make it so it could be whatever it needs to be.
So they don't tell you the country.
Yeah. So it could be whatever it needs to be.
They can just play it in, put it into anything.
Yep. That's how it goes.
Wow.
So we got one today, and this goes more into the wokeness of Hollywood, because wokeness is not just about DEI. It's not just about sensitivity. You walking on eggshells. You're going to piss off the wrong people. You can't tell that story. It's more than that. It's actually it's still about pushing the CIA war machine, U.S. Israel dominance in the world. Here's what happened. Okay, so the woke left is getting pretty crazy angry right now. They're livid right now because Sydney Sweeney just did an ad for American Eagle, and the jeans ad is causing people to get angry. What are they angry about? Well, let's let ABC tell us what the problem is. Here we go.
Time to check the pulse. We begin with the backlash over a new ad campaign featuring actress Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, the ads are for American Eagle, and the tagline is, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Now, in one ad, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed actress talks about genes as in DNA being passed down from her parents.
The play on words is being compared to Nazi propaganda with racial undertones.
The pun, good genes, activates troubling historical associations for this country. The American eugenics movement in its prime between like 1900 and 1940 weaponized the idea of good genes just to justify white supremacism.
Despite that backlash, American Eagle stock has been soaring.
Despite all that, they actually made some money off the campaign, but we're not here to talk about American Eagle's bottom line. What we are going to do is show you that every news outlet here in LA, in all the publications, all the trade magazines, all got aligned with the Nazi problem in the ad, which is insane. We're going to talk about it in a second, but this is one of just an example. Well, Daily Beast covered it as well. So here's Sydney Sweeney. Her great jeans ad is slammed as
Daily Beast.
Yeah, Nazi propaganda. But Daily Beast is taking this from all the other outlets. So you guys can go Google this right now. You're going to see Sydney Sweeney Nazi in the same sentence. It's pretty remarkable. We're going to talk about why this is actually happening. But let's look further at this. So Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney, she's under fire for starring in an American Eagle ad about great jeans that social media users are calling Nazi propaganda. The ad's tagline, Sydney Sweeney has great jeans, is a play phrase on great jeans. Jeans being, starting with G versus J, sparked outrage online as the blonde-haired, blue-eyed actress tells viewers in one commercial that genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue. And that's one of the voiceovers of one of the ads. Wrote one ex-loser on the ad. The most Nazi part of the Sydney Sweeney ad for me was the use of the word offspring. So they're doubling down on the Nazi part of this. The insistence on centering the wordplay has only deepened suspicion for some that the ads are somehow promoting eugenics, the manipulation of reproduction in a human population to increase the heritable characteristics that are more desirable. A TikTok user called the ads radicalized dog whistle and Nazi. There it is, propaganda. Racialized. Sorry. Another said the ads echo pseudo-scientific language of racial superiority. All throughout history, those traits have been weaponized to uphold a racial hierarchy. Yeah. And if you want an example where it's not just coming from the publications, it's not just coming from the news outlets. These are the type of people posting about this that seem very emotionally affected, like this person.
Before you put her up, I bet you audience that, and I haven't seen her yet, I bet you it's going to be a very mentally unstable person.
You would have bet correctly.
Surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this? Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda.
Is it Nazi propaganda, Matt?
No, absolutely not. And like, this is not, and this is why this story is important, because these aren't just independently Daily Beast or Variety or, Hollywood Reporter or this girl we just showed you and all the other, woke lefties who were, vote blue no matter who. They went insane when Kamala, lost, and they had to call suicide hotlines. We know the person. They didn't just independently come up with this on their own at the same time. They were given this top-down verbiage. It was implanted into their head. And this is how I know that it was, Craig, because if you had an honest discussion about this, you wouldn't be mentioning words like eugenics or Nazi. You'd be talking about the other stuff, like a white girl versus a brown girl, the stuff that generally people like to talk about in an age where you want equal representation. You wouldn't be using those words. Those words were fed to people. You can have an honest discussion about have we come far since, white blonde women versus, a diversity of casting and different roles in Hollywood. You could have that discussion. If that's all we were seeing right now, this probably wouldn't be worth the story. I wouldn't even be wasting time covering it if that's what we were seeing. But what we are seeing, Craig, is the use of Nazi and eugenics. And I'm going to pass it to you and I'll give my thoughts. But why do you think those particular words are being used here right now, all at the same time?
Because it really wasn't a racialized whistle to get those people with their ears pinned up, which they were accusing or projecting that, this is a dog whistle, a racial dog whistle. This is, what I'm saying, like that, signaling without saying what's needed to be said. However, it was the actual flip point. It's a woke whistle, right? It's about the leftist culture war base, rallying up their troops, keeping them in line, getting them ready to fight against Trump, using these situations. It reminds me a lot of Ted Lieu going after Candace Owens in court in a hearing, not in court, in a hearing, congressional hearing, And what Ted Lieu did was he said that Candace used certain words or certain language that paralleled what the Nazis would say. It didn't mean that she was quoting the Nazis or believing in their ideology. It was a cheap trick. Candace was really mad. She fired back at Ted Lieu. But it really, to tell you the truth, it made you think and said, all right, this is how unintelligent people are. The tribal mentality, right? The mob mentality in which you can rally up these people, where that unfortunate mentally ill woman just made a point in saying that this is Nazi propaganda. It's not. This is a woke whistle. And they have no, once again, they go back to using Nazi, but that's what the right does too as well. Remember Saddam Hussein? They justified going into Iraq because he was a modern day Hitler. So it's both parties doing this. Obviously, the left does it a little bit more than the right. We haven't seen it in a while, but they made a good comeback. But it's interesting to why they chose this particular jeans commercial and this woman to use that to strike back. But this is nothing but rallying up the base and seeing who your troops are, looking at the low-hanging fruit and see who's still in line to get after the whole anti-Trump movement when the Democrats try to take back office in 28, depending on how the script is written. I think the CIA is watching this more than anything.
Yeah, and I'll just add to this. I think we need to look at this a little differently than just the woke left. They want us to think this is coming from the woke left to keep the tribal politics, the tribal slingshotting back and forth. That's what this is as far as the battlefield goes, but it's not. That's not the source of this. The source of this is actually right-wing Hollywood. Ooh, has anyone ever heard those two words said in the same sentence before? Right-wing Hollywood. That's back to the right-wing policies of CIA and Israel and U.S. Dominance on the planet. And part of that dominance is promoting anti-Semitism. That's what this is about. So the messaging is, let's take an opportunity that maybe naturally on its own would have had a discussion about, hey, are women equally being represented? Blah, blah, blah. We could have that discussion. Again, we wouldn't be covering the story if that's all we were hearing. You could talk about that. Oh, the blonde, what is a good gene with blonde versus a brown skinned girl? Like, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
But what you guys are witnessing right now that's happening with Sydney Sweeney and the Nazi verbiage being thrown around is coming from the top down to remind us that the number one problem we have right now is anti-Semitism. Once you start using words like Nazi, you start understanding that we have to put our attention on the people that are really the victims. So if I'm part of the women's movement right now, if I'm part of, any sort of, action by a minority or women, I would be very concerned right now that eugenics and Nazi is being used in the pushback here, because that's going against us.
Yeah.
That's saying, hey guys, never mind about women and minorities. We're talking about the Jews are the ones we need to protect. That's what this is about, and it's coming directly from Hollywood, which we know who calls the shots here.
Yeah, and they just got reparations, I believe, too, as well. Jewish people did. I saw something in an article. The thing that's also mind-boggling too, as well, is you have this lady in the beginning talking about eugenics, and yet that whole tribe will gladly walk us in to a fourth industrial great reset. Take your COVID shot, do it for public health, get on your QR code. They'll walk you right into that mentality, but yet they're using this and they weaponize it to say that these are the people where this kind of language is coming from and which he is promoting. That's the crazy part about this whole thing. I mean, it's so upside down. But the sad part was the last video where people repeat this shit and just run with it.
Yeah.
And that's a great point you make. I wouldn't have seen that about, I mean, that's great.
Well, that's what it is. And that woman you watch, the mentally disturbed woman, she thinks it's her idea, Craig. This is the part you guys have to understand. She thinks that she thought of that idea. Yeah. She didn't. I assure you.
Yeah.
This was language given to her. Like, I don't know. When's the last time we saw language given to the same type of person? How about the feeling of joy? You guys remember that one? Joy, joy, joy. Everybody on schedule woke up exactly on the same morning and all felt joy. And more importantly, they all think that they thought of it themselves.
Yeah.
That's the game here. So we have to recognize that people are being manipulated. Their emotions are being used against each other. And again, if this was our natural feelings, because obviously people can have natural responses to things, you wouldn't be hearing that language. You'd be talking about diversity and casting and, hey, is American Eagle, should they have different women represented? Why is it only that? That would be a more honest discussion. And again, we wouldn't be covering it. Watch out for this language get fed to you to remind you that the number one problem, as RFK Jr. told us on the HHS website himself, the number one problem,
public health issue,
the number one public health issue on college campuses today is
anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
The best way to protect yourself in a hurricane, Joe Biden says, is to get vaxxed. By the way, we've been rated on Rumble.
We have.
We got about 320 people hanging on now. We want to thank everybody from the Do Dissidents.
Oh, let's do that.
Stream.
Love the Do Dissidents.
Russell, Keaton, I roll with those guys a lot. I love them. Thank you guys for coming on over. We do appreciate it. We had Garland Nixon on today. If you want to go back, watch the show, we talked a lot about Trump and the fallout, how we perceive things, what to do moving forward. I think that we both had the same answer. Me and Garland align on a lot of things. We don't know what to do moving forward, but we do know the first thing that we have to do is recognize what's in front of us. That the two-party duopoly is a two-party illusion. They work for the same people. Donald Trump now just ate his cake the same way we ate our cake with Obama. But finding a way to move forward is necessary, but acknowledging what's in front of us, that it's all a farce. Donald Trump is not an outsider. He's not going to end any wars. So that's what we talked about with Garland Nixon. We talked about the flotilla, Christian Smalls, if you want to go back and watch that. We had some great conversations to that, kind of repaired it to what Greta Thunberg's been. It's been a great show, a lot of stuff going on. And right now we've been talking about the Gene ad. If you want to help out the show, all the links are down below, which you can help out the homeless left. Remember, they're not on YouTube because they've been pulled down, demonetized, and censored. And now you have to go to THL Presents and find that. But of course, if you want to watch us on Rumble right now, you can do so. The homeless left. We're on Twitter. I'm on my Yo Pasta Twitter streaming too as well. Tomorrow I'll be doing the radio show at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. A call-in show, WBAI New York. We're really expanding that and letting that roll. If you want to call in, talk with the New Yorkers, give your opinion. It's a interactive show. You can do that. And of course, Matt rocks his Thursday show, and we do the Mondays and Fridays on the Truth Wire. We're all collaborating together, getting as many people going. A lot of conversations, a lot of great guests, a lot of things in front of us. So that's there today. What's our next topic we want to go into? Because I think the audience, from what I heard, some of the people coming over from Do Dissidents lost a few toes. So maybe they can we can talk about
losing toes is a problem these days. It happens to the best of us, the most athletic of us, the most healthy of us. It seems that they're having the most health problems of all. So we do like to do a segment here on the homeless left because we connect the dots with all of the issues, guys. Everything that they tell us we're not allowed to talk about. And I want to be clear: the reason we lost our YouTube channel was because we were having discussions, not just about the empire, not just about American imperialism, not just about Israel, the U.S. war machine, not just about election integrity, not just about Ukraine. We were having discussions about big pharma. We weren't allowed to talk to scientists and doctors and people with alternate ideas that went against the King Fauci of science, do not question science regime. And we were pissed off enough to say, you know what, if we had to do it again, Craig, we would do it the same way, and we would be glad to lose our channel once again because it was the right thing to do. It still is now. So we came up with a segment. It's called We Know What It's Not, and we're going to do that one right now. Let me set this up real quick. And again, thank you guys, Do Distance folks over here right now, part of the homeless left. This is what we call a non-tribal approach to news. Let's get to the story of the Deion Sanders story. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to set this up, and we'll play the intro here. Give me 1 second. If you want to give one more plug here while I'm doing that.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
get it on going. Yeah, we're gonna roll with it. Thank you guys so much for coming on over. We see a lot of you guys there in the chat. Thank you for telling us we dressed nicely today. A lot of people said we dressed nicely. So.
It's a special occasion because we're doing the home studio show together, which I like this, man. This is actually really cool. Really cool. Okay, we'll set this up right now. Here we go. A few seconds. Here we go. All right, we are good to go. Thanks for bearing with us. Here we go. Time for We Know What It's Not.
But the virus stops. with every vaccinated person.
But this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
The conspiracy theory about this related to vaccine, you're right.
We had to really move at the speed of science.
Doctors are baffled. They don't know what's going on. They're looking into it. Don't worry, they'll get back to you as soon as they can figure out what the hell is going on. But one thing they can tell you for sure, and we know right now, absolutely 100%, we know what it's not. What the hell is going on with Deion Sanders? He's had a bunch of health issues over these last few years. There's a new announcement that he gave. He had a special press conference where he gave some information, and it wasn't the worst news. Actually, it sounded pretty good. But let's walk this through, starting with this story. ESPN told us that he's Colorado head coach Deion Sanders. His medical team has announced that he has had a bladder tumor that has been removed, and now he is, quote, cured from cancer. Here's his doctor, head of the doctor team, telling us at the press conference before he spoke. Check it out.
His commitments to his family and to the team elected to undergo a bladder removal. We performed a full robot-assisted laparoscopic bladder removal and creation of a new bladder, and I am pleased to report that the results from the surgery are that he is cured from the cancer.
You can clap, it's okay. Rick was aware of what was transpiring, and he's been A1 and down there, just a blessing. Came to Texas to see me as well. But this was not an easy task because it was a changing kind of a lifestyle. And with Lauren and I coming from Jackson, this is how many surgeries?
As of from 2021, this is surgery number 14.
Surgery number 14. I had more surgeries out of the game than I did in the game. Like, what is going on?
14. Wow. Pretty remarkable.
More out of the game than he was in the game. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, he's made it this far. It's pretty remarkable. And those that don't fully know what he's actually been through, let's walk that through with you guys right now. His problem started a few years ago, kind of around the time, and this is just I just want to say this is a coincidence, Craig. His problem started right around the time of when the vaccine rollout happened. Again, it's just a coincidence. But here's what we know that happened. So this is back in 2023. He blood clots. So there was a major problem with Pfizer and Moderna, the mRNA vaccines. Now, again, I'm not saying this has anything to do with what we just saw, but he did survive major blood clotting. NFL.
Are you insinuating that something's called the clot shot? Come on.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just reporting what they're reporting. I have absolutely no reason to connect these things, Craig, in any way, shape, or form. But this is Deion successfully finishing his first stay here, where he had to get these blood clots out of him. And then, this was somebody else in the same group as him, and they're just showing you what these clots look like, which we saw a bunch of them, a bunch of pictures like this being posted during the time. This is what it looks like when they pull blood clots out from you. And just to go back before that, Deion Sanders told us, and again, this is just so you guys understand the timeline. He gives his take on COVID-19 vaccine. He says, I want a chance to dominate. Sanders also said that he's been vaccinated for quite a long time. This was in 2021, after a lot of people, especially in sports and entertainment, they were all getting this. They were lining up to get it. A lot of them were forced to get it. So we know, but Deion embraced it wholeheartedly and definitely became a spokesperson to tell other people to get this shot. Here's a tweet from 2024. Remember when Deion Sanders said everyone should be forced to take the Pfizer COVID vaccine, which causes blood clots, and then Primetime, that was his nickname. Primetime was forced to get his toes cut off. What? Due to the vax blood clot? What?
That's
what?
That's an opinion, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't. We don't know. We know what it's not.
Yeah.
But we don't know what. Once again, we can't pinpoint for exact because we're not doctors. And just because a bunch of blood clots happen after this particular mandated shot doesn't mean that it's it. Okay. So just once again, just our opinions.
Yeah. But hey, we're just reporting what happened. We're not giving an opinion here. So, and then if you ask AI to give you a summary today, it'll tell you that Deion Sanders had undergone 14 surgeries, right, since 2021. So this sums up everything. Everything kind of checks out, including a removal of his bladder due to bladder cancer, according to multiple news reports. The cancer has been declared cured by doctors. That was as of yesterday. They cured it. He also had 2 toes amputated in 2021. So you saw that report due to blood clots and compartment syndrome. So no mention of anything to do with his stance on the COVID vaccine, but at least they're telling us, AI will tell us today, all the hospital health issues he's had since 2021, coincidentally, right when everybody was getting the COVID vaccine. Peter McCullough puts this up. Actually, I want to come back to this one. Let me keep this. Let me go to the actual, this is a very heartfelt moment of his actual toe surgery that happened. This is actually very, and then I want to go back to this chart here. Here's Deion getting the toes removed. It's really sad. Really sad.
Go ahead and place. Put up the McCullough thing because I have something to say.
Yeah,
too,
this is the part we always ask ourselves, and I'm glad that McCullough did this poll within his Twitter group. And the question he asks is, why don't athletes and public figures who suffer COVID vaccine side effects like myocarditis, POTS, blood clots, stroke, etc., cardiac arrest come out and tell the truth to warn the public? So these are the votes. Either it's because they're truly clueless, 10% think so, 10.5. Doctor deceived them, 9.1. Paid for silence, 33.8% think that. But the overwhelming answer to this question seems to be afraid we'll lose more. 46.7, almost half of people think it's that reason. Of course, we can't get in the head of Deion Sanders or others, but it's a great question to point out. And you would hope there was more not following one of these 4 reasons. But yeah, I'll pass it to you, Craig. What do you think is going on here?
Well, the third one, paid for silence. I don't know where people have that proof there. I think they're just kind of
this speculation. This is not. Yeah.
But the other ones, the other first two definitely hit home. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't pinpoint it. You've made a whole segment. We know what it's not, because these people can say, well, you don't know for sure it's that. In any situation, you can say it's not for sure, despite any evidence coming out, whatnot. And I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to piggyback off of what McCullough said. I'm going to go the other way. I don't necessarily believe that these people have to come out and say what's going on. I do think that we should have been attacking this on the front end. People like Stephen A. Smith, people like LeBron James, people like Deion Sanders, people praising the shot and pushing for people to take the shot. How the hell could you do that? You're not a doctor. You don't know what's going on. You didn't do your research. So for you to go out there and use your platform and your popularity to push something that you're not sure of, that's where things went wrong. I think in the future, next time, a lot of people just need to shut the fuck up, right? Don't say anything, right? Now you're in a situation now you should come out and say something, right? Especially if you firmly believe that. But I don't believe people believe it because, once again, we know what it's not. You can make this kind of like generic kind of accusation, but we don't know for sure, even though we might believe it because we looked at different data, and we were looking at different data the whole time. We were looking at the data that actually made a difference when the COVID was actually happening, that people were ignoring. They just found their confirmation bias and ran with it. But right now, there's a lot of confusing data out there right now too, as well, that would make you confident to say that this is the shot that did this to me.
Yeah. Well, look, you mentioned LeBron James, and he sticks out in my head because we remember his son. We remember his son was in college at USC nearby, right here. And, I played college ball for a year, Craig, and I don't remember anybody having a heart attack during practice. People threw up. We worked their asses off. They said, hey, everything you did in high school, it's going to be times 100. So we were ready for the pain, right? It's like you get used to a certain level of athleticism. Yeah. Nobody had a heart attack. Did you know that when Bronny James fell down in the middle of practice at USC, he was in the top shape of his life? I mean, you can only imagine a more healthier specimen than if you were to create James, one. Yeah. Like if you were to create a healthy specimen in a lab, you'd say, I would take LeBron James' son at 18, 19, 20 years old, and that would be the most healthy athlete you could imagine. And he had a heart attack. Did you know he was the second player on that exact team that fell down that same season? There was already a heart attack. So that's the second one. So if you're somebody like LeBron James and you're saying the least he could do is shut up about it, I'm wondering, and I think people, and I think that McCullough does this poll because we're all wondering what athlete out there, even if it's just a couple of them, or entertainers, or anybody celebrity status that had something like LeBron James' son. This happened, this horrible incident happening, which he miraculously survived, but he's going to have myocarditis. He's going to have issues, cardiac issues, the rest of his life. But he's alive. Is there anybody out there that's willing to say on record, we screwed up? This is bad. This looks like this came from that. Nobody's willing to do that. And I think that that's really a massive concern. What if just one or two did? What would happen to them? They would lose everything. I think that's why the vote for half the people that answered that question said they're scared to lose more. And that would be what I would vote for, that fourth one. They're scared to lose more. And so they don't have that courage. They don't have that.
I believe listen to their doctor, right? Like, I believe there's a lot more that has to go in there, because, and especially when you put that in your body, you now invested into it. Now you're going to buy into it, because you don't want to believe that what you put in your body is something harmful and you've been duped. So like Garland was talking about, and I think it's a quote from Mark Twain, it's very easy to convince somebody of a lie rather than they've been lied to themselves, that kind of thing. I'd rather get into that. And I think a lot of the white coat doctors and people telling them, the whole industry saying, get this, had a lot more to do with it than 10%. And by the way, Dr. McCullough came on our show the day after Bronny went down, and he said for sure he believes it was 1,000% the vaccine. He said that
was very irresponsible of him for doing that, because he
could do that, not me.
That's a good point.
He could do that, not me.
That's a good point. Well, look, DEION did speak up about his experience, and he got very emotional. I just want to play this. This is after the press conference yesterday, and this is after saying, his doctor team said, hey, he's 100% cured from cancer, and that's great news. But all the wear and tear, the toe amputations, the bladder removal, his life is completely different, and it will always be different. Does he have anything to say about any regret or anything? No. I mean, I don't want to, spoiler alert, guys. He's not going to say anything about the conversation we just had, but he is going to thank God, I guess. That's where he's at.
But slowly but surely, I built myself back up to where I'm able, I'm strong, I'm ready. I'm still probably about 12 pounds down. I'm going to get that right. I'm going to fill these overalls up like no other. But it has been a tremendous journey, and I'm truly thankful that God is so good. God is so good. You have no idea. You have no idea how good God has been for me to be here. You have no idea. Thank you. Thank you both for everything.
God is good. I mean, it's I don't know. I get kind of chills hearing him do that, because it's like, that's, I guess, when all else fails and you have nothing else, you gotta go to there. That's all you got. What else are you gonna say?
And it's a shame, because like a lot of people too that are fighting for, against the COVID protocols, they also rely on God and whatnot, thinking that's going to save them too as well. So it's not just done on one side. You know what I'm saying? This is a man-made issue. This is a man-made problem. This is a man-made attack. This is a small percentage of humans on this planet, less than 1%, playing God with the rest of us. It's not God themselves. It's these people. And, a lot of times when I was in the streets with some of the activists, I'd say, why are you doing this right now? What's the motive behind this? And they're like, well, we're trying to spark a public conversation. That's what we want. And that's something that we really still haven't gotten to this day. And I'll wait as you run through these, we know it's not, to get to the RFK part and talk about what we really wanted coming out of this COVID, because I know there's a lot of people who used to say Nuremberg 2.0 and they wanted justice. That was never happening. However, a public discussion dissecting every little part of COVID, from the testing to where it came from, to how to treat it, to what was suppressed, to the censorship, that is needed. That public conversation is needed, not so much to bring people to justice, but to make sure it never happens again and to undo what's been done. And what has been done has not been undone. It's still there. And there's a lot of things we have to talk about. We still have not had the public conversation that is necessary from COVID. Like I said, COVID was more than a virus and a vaccine. It was the way we are controlled as species under the rulers in this world. And how they want to kind of kettle us into our cages, and that's something that needs to be taken on head on, and it hasn't been taken on.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, this is completely unrelated. We just thought we would give you guys a little update on some sudden deaths that occurred. We're going to make this because there's been a bunch of them, and doctors are certainly baffled, and they seem to be more baffled when it comes from young people. So here's a little series of updates, and these are all in the last 48 hours, Craig. We just found them here. Again, completely unrelated to what we've been talking about. But yeah, these are some of these young people. It's just so tragic that these incidences occurred. So here we go. Here's the first one I wanted to highlight. This is she was called dramatic for skipping gym, avoiding stairs, but at 16 she learned she was in heart failure. Oh man. Okay. Wait, where's the beginning? Okay. The picture is gone. Okay. At just 7 years old, she remembers struggling. Okay, so this is a heart failure from a from a 15-year-old. Let me make sure I got this. 16-year-old heart failure. I'm not getting the picture here. Hold on.
It's all right.
Here we go. There we go. There she is. That's a picture from her at 7.
And I think it really needs to be emphasized that a lot of the people who believe that the shot did damage or whatnot believe that if you had a comorbidity, is that the word?
Yeah.
If you had an illness already that exists there, that this was just the thing that pushed you over the top. In other words, people who are healthy, they survive. They use their natural immunity if they had to get through it. But people who were already sick, who had lung issues or weight issues, they were the ones who were most, on the chopping block. And if a young girl had heart issues and then all of a sudden this comes along, forget about it. They're going to push her over the ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have some more ones, guys, of really, really tragic ones. This is a high school football player collapses during practice and dies, similar to Bronny James, but this one did not survive, unfortunately. Yeah. It's a high school football player, collapsed at practice, tragically passed away. This was in Memphis, Tennessee, right during practice. He's just 16 years old. Joshua Henderson, he played high school football, Bolton High School in Memphis, collapsed during practice on July 7th. So I guess it was a few weeks ago. The family announced the death over the weekend. This is the football field. They're not showing the picture of the kid, which is probably understandable. You don't want to plaster his picture all over the place. But this is very common right now in high schools, that just in the middle of practice, and this is happening. I'm going to emphasize this part, Craig. This is happening to athletic young people, like athletic young people, not overweight, not having these. They're on the football field. They're in the middle of practice, in the middle of a marathon. It's pretty remarkable that it seems to be targeting those type of people. And this is not a repeat. This one is another football player. This is yet another one. 15, dies after suffering a medical emergency at practice. This was Mika was more than just a talented athlete. He was a spark, full of energy, compassion, and joy. The family said. This is in Georgia. High school teenager dead after experiencing a medical emergency during football practice earlier this week. This was at the Deckball County School District. It was an unexpected passing. 15-year-old Micah King. This happened on July 22nd. Taken to the hospital where later he was pronounced dead, according to the local TV station. I'll just do one more just because and again, there's so many of these. I don't even when they pop up on my feed, I don't even know what to do about it. Now, this one's very tragic. This is an 18-year-old dancer found dead in her home, remembered as the most vibrant girl. Her time with us was far too short. This is Layla Maria Grubb. Her loved one says she was brought so much joy, light, and love into the lives of who knew her. This 18-year-old dancer is being remembered by her loved ones following her tragic death. She was found dead in her home in Australia on Saturday, July 19th, according to Daily Telegraph. Her family told the outlet that the teenager died just hours after she was sent home from the hospital following a suspected seizure. And it goes on and on and on, Craig. And I'm not trying to you know, put so much attention on these families that are suffering right now.
Yeah.
As you can see, some of them, the families don't even give the press the picture of their child, which I said earlier, it's understandable. You want to have kind of like privacy. You don't want everybody hitting you up when these become national stories. They used to be a big deal when this happened. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember. I mean, I think I can remember my entire life, one high school kid dropping dead, but they had a reason for it. There was an actual diagnosis, and it was something that the person had his entire life. It wasn't out of nowhere. It wasn't called. We didn't hear the term unexpectedly. We didn't hear the term. We didn't hear the term died suddenly. But if there was a died suddenly, there seemed to be a reason, and you could pinpoint that reason.
Yeah.
And again, I only had one in my entire life that I remember hearing about and living through.
I just want to. There was somebody in the chat was saying some stuff like. And I asked, what are you talking about, Anon? He says, I'm out. Take care, chat. This comes off as a distraction to me. Focus on removing the ruling class from society. The rest will follow. You're talking to two guys who understand right now that nothing will change until the power structure changes, right? There are people who say create parallel systems and go off and do what you're going to do. And I've always said to those people, friends of mine like Derek Rose and Steve Poikonen, like, listen, until you remove them, nothing will change. Until the power structure changes, nothing will change, because even if we try to go off and do our own thing, exist out of their system, they'll come after us. They'll hunt us down. So I don't know what you're talking about with that right there. As far as this is concerned, though, and I'm trying to look at this at a very, not just a black and white situation, look at this across the board and look at it subjectively, objectively, however you want to put it. How would the doctors that are from the frontline doctors in McCullough right now determining that the fact that a lot of this myocarditis came from the vaccine is that they are looking at statistics that say the myocarditis worldwide has exploded, and that needs to be looked upon. And it's exploded in areas where the shots were mandated and given out a lot. So that's their evidence behind it about what's going on. But like I said, and I would like to go to the next one really quick, because what we really wanted, and I will say this much, I think we got more out of RFK, at least a little emotional shit nuggets out of RFK than we got from Donald Trump. Donald Trump, his only accomplishment, unfortunately, is terrorizing the immigrant community. It's disgusting what he's done out here. It's just terrible. But a lot of his people still praise that. RFK has had a little emotional wins here and there, little things here and there. But however, we still haven't gotten what we wanted from him. So
here we. Oh wait,
Jay Scott.
Sorry, that's
it's up in the if you go into the doc.
Oh,
go into the doc.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of people were like, well, what are we supposed to get out of RFK? Aren't we supposed to get this? Well, what I think people wanted more than anything, there are people who wanted accountability. They wanted people to pay the price, go to jail for what they've done. But there are also people out there who really just wanted to have these conversations. Can you make that bigger at all? Let me see if you can do that. That will help. It's okay.
Actually, I can go like this. Let's see.
You have to go over there, like in that corner, and make it bigger.
Shoot,
don't worry, but
okay.
I can
Okay.
open it up. But next time it says. But let me just put it up there so I can read it too as well. But it's Jay Scott, and Jay Scott is kind of host of this show, co-host of this show. Stop the EUA, which is the Emergency Use Authorization for COVID shots, and repeal the entire 1986 Vaccine Act if you don't want to be remembered like Bernie Sanders. Now, here's Robert Kennedy. He gets into talking about, and he's talked about these things before. The 1986 Vaccine Act gave vaccine makers immunity against lawsuits by children who suffer vaccine injuries. The statute and numerous subsequent court decisions recognize that vaccines, like all medicines, are, in the words of the American Academy of Pediatrics case, unavoidably unsafe, and that the percentage of vaccinated children will suffer injuries or death. Congress, therefore, simultaneously created the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, the VICP, which obliged HHS, Health and Human Services, which is what he leads right now, to compensate injured children. In the words of the Labor and Public Welfare Committee Chairman, Senator Edward Kennedy, when children are victims of an appropriate and rational national policy, a compassionate government will assist them in their hour of need. Under the VICP, vaccine victims can petition for compensation. So the so-called vaccine court, which pays outwards from a trust fund endowed by 75-cent surcharge on every vaccine. In other words, they take the money, they put it away to have it there. Congress intended that injured children be compensated quickly and fairly for injuries, either presumed or proven to be causally connected to vaccines, with doubts about causation resolved in favor of the victim. To date, the vaccine court has paid out $5.4 billion to 12,000 petitioners, but the VICP no longer functions to achieve its congressional intent. Instead, the VICP has devolved into a morass of inefficiency, favoritism, and outright corruption as government lawyers and the special masters who serve the vaccine court judges prioritize the solvency of the HHS trust fund over the duties to compensate victims. The structure itself hobbles claimants, people making claims. The defendant is HHS, not the vaccine makers. The claimants are therefore facing a monumental power and bottomless pocket of the U.S. government represented by the Department of Justice. So in other words, they're not allowing the emergency use authorization and the vaccine companies to be liable for their things. In other words, it's the government that now is going to bear the responsibility and decide who gets that money. This is crazy. And this is one of the things that his running mate, what's her name? Shannon?
Yeah, Shanahan, Nicole Shanahan.
Nicole, she had talked about one thing that you want of everything is they want the liability protection pulled from the vaccines, right?
Yeah.
From the vaccine companies. They're not doing that. They're still under emergency use authorization for children, right? Which still gives them, once again, protection. Now you can't even sue them. To try to sue them in this court, forget about them, would be crazy right now. And we haven't had that possible discussion. It's more than a vaccine and a virus. Everything is still going on. The wake of the mandates of people losing their jobs in certain states like in New York still hasn't been resolved. They still haven't changed that. They never went into the CDC. How did they come up with these protocols? Who's accountable for doing this stuff? They never went into the relationship that the CDC has with the vaccine makers. I mean, what did we want? We wanted more. And like I said, there are people who wanted accountability and justice. Never going to happen. We wanted to have a national discussion on what happened during COVID, every aspect, including the censorship and not allowing doctors to be doctors, so that at the very least, it wouldn't happen again and it would stop happening going forward. Because there's a lot of things that took place during COVID that are still in play today and haven't been changed. And that's what we haven't got. And here is RFK dancing around the whole situation. Instead of going directly at the vaccine manufacturers, he's kind of playing footsie again. And the advisory committee, he fired everybody, but they already made their decisions during COVID. I listened to those advisory committees, how awful it was. They made a decision to go ahead and green light the shot moving forward during the time of Omicron, but didn't talk about any of the evidence about Omicron because they had changed, different types of COVID until after they already made the vote. I mean, that's the crazy thing. They voted on it, pass it, and then they started talking about the effects of Omicron. Like, we're in Omicron right now, and you're making a vote on it moving forward. They're not needed anymore, and they can be randomly picked by anybody. So it was just an emotional win to give people. We haven't got what we wanted for the whole COVID situation, and that's to analyze and have this public conversation of what took place. The way the 1% locked us up like animals, kettling us to our cages, and they were able to do it under the guise of the laws. We need to talk about that. And those are things that RFK talked about strongly before he got into office, and I'm wondering where it's at, where it's gone, what's going to happen, and if we're going to get anything. Instead, we'll get a lot of dancing around like this, and I think it will come up empty. And I'm glad that Jay Scott put stop the EAU for COVID shots and repeal the entire 1980. He had talked like he was going to do that. We don't get that language now. We're gonna restructure it.
Yeah, and I'll give a shout out to Jay Scott. He's actually right now he's about to be a new father, so he's actually at the hospital right now with his girl. So we're excited to hear about and by the way, Jay's focus on the medical freedom movement, it aligns with us here on the Homeless Left. And I do want to circle it back to the I guess the viewer who said they're out and they're probably not watching anymore, but this is why it's important. I mean, we're talking about our friend Jay. He's at the hospital right now. I'm going to tell you guys what happens when you have a new baby right now. You are loaded with drug propaganda from drug pushers that are basically working like cartel, telling you can't leave here until we shoot your kid up, with 72 shots in the next few years. That's a thing. That's a war zone that you're walking into right now. So why would that be a problem? That sounds fine. Like, trust your doctor, right? Trust the science. Well, the reason we're having these conversations, we're connecting the dots here. And again, like, I know a lot of you guys came over from Due Dissidence. Thank you guys. And I know a lot of you know us anyways, but if you're seeing us for the first time right now, I think it's important you understand that if this is a topic that maybe you haven't looked into or you don't think is as important as the Israel U.S. war machine and imperialism and the uniparty and the things that we are 100% passionate about, if you don't think, if you think this is like a side issue, it's not. It's all connected, man. That's what they say. It's all connected. The reason we know it's all connected is because this is another tool they use to keep us living in fear, keep us divided, and keep us not in control of our own decisions about what we're doing with our health, our body, our minds. And we know how propaganda works. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you're not interested in this topic and you care about the war machine, you sound to us just like a lot of our right-wing audience that loves talking about this but won't mention the word Israel. There's something disconnected about that. You have to start connecting all of the dots. That's what we do on this show. We bring it all together. We're consistent. We're consistent with our philosophy, our moral compass. We apply to every topic. And you have to do that because at the end of the day, the problem with RFK Jr., which Craig pointed out, the problem with him is the same problem with Trump. It's the same problem with anybody that looks like they have their hands tied and aren't doing the thing they campaigned on. It's all the same problem. So let's be curious about these issues. Even if you don't know anybody that was vaccinated, you don't know anybody, you're totally fine. Understand there's a lot of people affected by this and are victims of yet another bait and switch. We have to talk about all of it. It's all connected, man. And we're not going to stop talking about it. And the people getting censored while they're talking about it, that's who to be looking at. Why were they censored? Just like with Israel. If you're censored for talking about Palestine, if you're punished for saying free Palestine, that's the problem. So we get censored for talking about pharma. That's the problem. So be a little more curious about that as you are about the war machine. Because like I said, it's all connected, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just in closing, I'd just like to say too as well, we mentioned the hearing in the beginning of the show, Tulsi Gabbard's hearing, RFK's hearing. And a lot of people are like saying supporters of Tulsi and supporters of RFK were saying, no, they have to say that to get confirmed. No, that's not what we want. We want people who are going to represent the people get in there. That was very important because they are who we thought they are. And just not to get in, they're continuing the same rhetoric moving forward that they showed, when Tulsi Gabbard said that Julian Assange, Edward Snowden broke a crime and she was forced to go and do that. Now, there was words out there that Edward Snowden, I think he even put in a tweet that he told her to say whatever just to get in. But however, the picture, the questions on Assad, the way she flipped, and the way that RFK talked about he supported the vaccine schedule for children. They are who they thought we are. That's the same person. They're going to be consistent, and they're going to go ahead and continue to serve those who put them in power.
Yeah. And I think that ought to do it for We Know What It's Not. And yeah, you guys have been very engaging here. So I think that it's about time we respond to you. Actually, we already started responding, but
yeah.
We'll just throw up this.
Back,
yeah, let's do a little talking back. I don't have a logo for you yet, but I want to get like a pasta ball and put it up. I want to talking back with pasta. But we have one for Cheese Slice. We have one for Leslie. I'm just gonna put mine up right now, and then we're gonna get to your guys' your comments right now. And if we don't get to yours, we apologize in advance. We'll try to throw some up at the end when we run out the show. But we'll do our best to engage with you. That's what it's about. If you guys are feeling like a super chat, go on our YouTube right now and get ready for that. Because guess what? When you super chat with us, you get bumped to the front of the line. That's how it works. Okay. Here we go. It's time for a little talking back, guys. It's Talking Back with Matt and with Pasta today here at the home studio. We had a great conversation with Garland Nixon earlier. We've been covering Israel, been covering Ukraine. We've been covering big pharma. We've been covering HOLLYWOKE. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of action. And then we had this raid from Due Dissidence. So welcome you guys as well. As we explained earlier, we're going to tell you guys one more time, the Rumble raids, or what's it called? Rumble Rant. Rumble Raid is I'm still trying to learn all the lingo. Rumble Rants and YouTube super chats get bump to the front of the line. So we'll start with that. And we do want to hear from you guys, all of you guys, whatever your function of communicating is best for you. We appreciate it. Let's find that Rumble. Where is this one?
I put it in the YouTube chat, but it's not coming up either.
It's not coming up. Sometimes that happens. It's okay.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we will find it, and then I will copy it over.
Well, while you're copying over, let me grab something over there, and we can put up too as well. Let's see what's in there. Okay, there's Pamela Drew at the very bottom. If you go down to new comments, up there.
Here we go.
Right there. PSYOP.
Yeah. Here we go.
All right. So COVID was a PSYOP RNA, cannot pandemic, the worthless PCR, and media with bad treatments cause death. There is no GOF virus in biological reality. Gain of function virus and biological reality. All right, so there's a lot there to unpack, right? So a lot of people talk about RNA. You know, a lot of people don't connect the dots on what RNA, how it was tied to DARPA and the defense industry, and what allowed the government to do. When things are categorized under military, they can legally lie to the public for the under the guise of what do you call it? Public safety, right? Of national security is the other one. And, you know, there's a lot she's putting out there, too, as well. I have conversations with COVID heads right now about some of the doctors that are involved, what went on. The worthless PCR test, to me, that was one of the biggest things because the PCR, Dr. Kerry Mullis, who accidentally suicided himself, said, plain and simple, that you cannot use PCR as a diagnosis. So you can use it as a stepping stone with other mechanisms to find out what's going on, but the threshold they had on was too high, and they knew that. They knew that what they were doing and how they were using it, they weaponized it, that it would pop a bunch of positives. Right? They have what's called false positives, and they would have that, and that made them control the narrative that this is this is a serious vaccine. It's spreading like wildfire. You need to get this, and also push back against the argument that the what do you call it the non-symptomatic cannot spread the disease, right?
Yeah.
That is an argument going on. That's something that Dr. McCullough talked about earlier. There are some people said between the non-symptomatic and when you're catching it, it's spreadable. There's an argument there, but they did a test in Wuhan, the Chinese did, and less than 0.5% of the non-symptomatic did not spread the disease. They didn't catch it. That pushed back against the argument for lockdowns. If you are non-symptomatic, right? And what's the asymptomatic?
Asymptomatic.
If you are asymptomatic, thank you, guys. Can somebody correct me over there? What are you guys doing? Help me out, Mary Ploppins. If you're asymptomatic, then you know you ain't got it. You can go out. There's no need to quarantine. So that would push back against the arguments of lockdowns, and that's up there. The worthless and media with bad treatments cause death. They didn't talk about any of the McCullough protocols, any of the FLCC protocols, any of the Zelensky stuff. They ignored hydroxychloroquine. They ignored ivermectin. They ignored the protocols that go with it. They ignored the fact that natural immunity will always be better than any self-induced immunity, any type of treatment. When you take a vaccine, you're not taking something to kill the virus in front of you. You're taking it to give yourself a small amount of the virus to get your body to trigger the protection it is. So when you do get the virus, you already have the built-in protections. It's still unnatural. And they ignored that. So they were talking about bad treatments, and they were ignoring the proper treatments. And there is no gain-of-function virus in the biological reality. Here's the thing, too, as well. Gain-of-function testing was opened back up during the Patriot Act. People have to understand. This is something that RFK talked about. When the Patriot Act was signed, they opened the door back up for chemical testing, chemical warfare. That made the Chinese have to greenlight their programs and made the Russians have to greenlight their programs. And I'll say this again. Anything the Americans do foreign policy-wise, the Chinese and the Russians have to do to combat it. If we have a big subfleet with a bunch of nuclear weapons, then the Chinese and the Russians have to have a big nuclear fleet with a bunch of weapons. They did the same thing here. We opened up the Hell's Gate. Gain-of-function testing came into play. We wanted to create biological weapons. We even knew we wanted to create biological weapons that would attack certain races. That was into play. So when you think about gain of function, and that's why one of my biggest questions when I asked Chase Oliver when he had won the nomination, I asked Jill Stein at the debates, will you put a ban on gain of function day one To me, it's one of the most important things because we need to close that hole, but we have to also understand the mechanisms in which the state uses to open up those discussions. In this case, they use the Patriot Act to go crazy with biological testing. They're playing Russian roulette with our lives, and we need to stop them.
Yeah. And thanks, Pamela's always sharp on the money every time we have a COVID discussion, and she gets the stuff that a lot of people miss, and I appreciate that commentary there. Craig, here's the Rumble rant that we have.
Here we are.
Here we go. This is from Dobther. You want to see the nightmare we're in down under? Check out Jillian Siegel. So I guess this is down under from Australia. Thank you so much for the Rumble rant. Let's check out Jillian
I'm gonna really
Siegel.
see what's going on, Jillian Siegel.
Let's see.
Australian lawyer and businessman. Let me see what's up on Twitter, what they have on her. Real quick. Jillian Siegel?
Yes.
All right. Let's get it up. There must be something. Top news, Jillian Siegel. Thank you so much, guys. All right. Oh, you're going to love this one. You are going to love this one.
Okay.
Go ahead. Share it on in.
Here we go. Here he is.
Jillian Siegel says, explaining her special envoy role. We've taken groups of influencers to Israel, young people who have large followers on social media, fitness freaks, food fanatics, and they come back and reach young people. It's that cultural change we need to see. Wow.
Come
Jillian
on.
Siegel.
This is a nightmare for sure, to say the least. Dobther, thank you for pointing that out. We didn't know. We have enough nightmares we're covering here on this side of the planet, but my God.
We can't take all the academics to Israel, but those that we have transformed their thinking, we will take many more senior ones. Many vice chancellors will go and will transform others. We pay her $400,000 for this.
Wow.
So Zionist being Zionist, I guess, right?
Yeah, they're coordinating this everywhere, and that's another stooge for Israel, and it is a nightmare. I think that's the best way to describe it that we're all living in right now. But we just have to be more vocal. So thanks for that Rumble rant, Dobther. Okay, moving on to some other stuff. I'm gonna back it to earlier. This is I gotta say something about we had some comments about our ties today. So we had thank you for this.
Dingo ate me, baby.
Yes. I feel like these two are gonna knock on my door and ask if you taken the Lord Jesus Christ as your savior and ask me to buy a Bible. Okay. Joke is well received.
We're on a bikes. Have you spoke with Jehovah?
Yeah.
What else we got?
And then we got this is the follow-up. Pastor, please tell me you two haven't gone Mormon. No, we haven't. We have not. We assure you.
Look at the comment right below him, but Indy, what is Indy?
Yeah, well, this is his tagline, baby. We like who are these people? Yeah. And then Leslie, thanks for chiming in there, and we hope we Leslie back on Thursday. That'd be awesome. But we're holding it down for you, Les. We're holding it down. They'll go to your door and talk you into voting third party instead. Yes, zinger, zinger.
I know we get a lot of shit from people who believe that you should abandon the system altogether. Steve, Fiorella, Dusty Winston. I understand, but I'm not going to let them take away my vote. It's my God-given right to vote, to express my opinion and express my thought process. And listen, I think this is always we're going to always have to vote. If a bunch of anarchists are living on a commune and 11 of them go out hunting, 6 want to go this way, 5 want to go this way, and they got to pull their resources, they're going that way. Voting, even Adam and Eve took a vote.
Yeah.
Right? So no matter what, voting is going to be essential. And I do believe that we're one people in a sandbox and we're going to have to find a way to play together. And if we can get a real system, real representation, the ability to hire and fire people, I think that's great. Now, the anarchists that want to have as much freedom as possible, I believe that should be so, that we should give as much freedom and liberty to the people as itself. But the decisions that we have to make collectively, we're going to need representations at least and figure it out. If China can build high-speed rail, we need to and play together nicely in the sandbox. That's just my opinion. Yeah. And I have some electric, exciting election news coming forth down the pipeline, guys. It's going to be great. There's election stuff going on in the United States that is very exciting, and I'm going to be able to bring it to you. Our old good friend Clint Curtis. But that's all I got for now. So
okay,
electric stuff. Electric stuff happening in Shasta County, California. Electric stuff.
Awesome, man. That sounds good.
Wow. Get me back on the election integrity vote again.
Yeah.
Great stuff taking place in Shasta County, California. I'm going to bring it all to you. I'm going to go up there. Clint Curtis is now the election supervisor, or the registrar of voters, it's called. It's crazy how he got the job. If you don't know who Clint Curtis is, he was one of the first to testify in a Florida hearing, in a congressional hearing, that he was approached by then the Speaker of the House of Florida to make a vote flipping mechanism. Back in the days when it was not even Dominion, it was Diebold and all these other companies that are now just transformed to these the companies they are today. Great stuff. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Ed Rams, thanks for tuning in. Trump is a puppet. I had some respect for the man. Now it's at 0, and that's it. That's a trajectory. It's like
how do you feel about that? Did you have some hope? I hoped I was wrong and that he would end at least the fucking Ukraine war.
I had some hope too. The Ukraine war was the thing that I said, look, if we get one thing from this guy that's any different from Kamala and Biden, it would be Ukraine. That's it. And then we talked about the censorship in that regard. We weren't holding our breath for Israel. Believe me, guys, we knew we did not have. That was the Trump Gaza Plaza Trump whatever AI thing. That was infuriating, but we weren't shocked by that. We understood that. But the one thing was Ukraine. Yeah, I would say.
And what's the one thing he's done now? Jose, who used to have an awesome trompo, some of the best pastor tacos, is gone, and they replaced him with some Ukrainian out of Kiev that doesn't even know how to make a good taco. That's what we got.
Yeah.
Terrorizing the immigrant community is the only thing we got.
That's it.
From Donald Trump.
That's all we get. Free Palestine.
Absolutely, Dude.
Yeah. Thanks.
Still going on to this day. Hundreds of people dying every single day happening. Greenlit by the American apparatus, still funding many weapons, going to get more. Wouldn't even take a little cut. AOC couldn't even back us on that one.
So what happened to the peace president?
He was never the peace president.
He was never the peace president. Thanks, Eva Burke. Appreciate it. And this is another one we kind of forget about, but we just did we know what it's not segment, and it's important that we remind people that he was in charge of the Operation Warp Speed. Donald's responsible for millions dead worldwide when he authorized Operation Warp Speed. He now continues the killing by bombing Gaza, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, and Iran.
I thought he let off Yemen. Maybe he's still bombing it, but he is bombing Somalia and Sudan every day, and people don't even talk about that.
He let off of Yemen, but the damage had been done, and he was posting it like Julian Assange style, like revealing his own war crimes. Here's the footage, guys. I'm like, hey, isn't that the stuff that when Edward Snowden and Julian Assange would post?
Yeah.
We'd be like, oh, you're giving away our secrets. We're putting you in jail for the rest of your life. Yeah. And then he just, hey, cut out the middleman. Trump he'll just post it himself. Here are the war crimes. Yeah. Yay. It's like a video game. They're not real people, Craig. It's like, get that one. Pew, pew, pew. Get that one. That's what it was.
This is the programming and the desensitizing of Americans throughout the years through school and empire education, painting us as Captain America, going around fighting for civil liberties and freedom and humanity and human decency. I saw it go down a little bit.
Oh,
what is that?
What are we looking for?
I saw due dissidence. People.
Oh yeah, we had. This is the string. Yes, this is we barely missed.
Right. Thank you so much for dissonance.
This is it. Yeah,
the programming of making us feel like we're fighting for human decency and humanitarian reasons and all that stuff, but yet we're doing it. We're just sending a bunch of poor people to fight rich man's wars. That's why they believe in this G.I. Joe mentality, and bombing can go by every single day and the people not say anything. And until we start paying attention to actual policy instead of rhetoric and what goes on outside our borders, nothing is going to change. We should be up at arms right now of what's taking place in Gaza and what's taking place in Ukraine, because we're paying for it.
That should be enough right there. Eva Burke, thanks for this one. This is the response to the Sydney Sweeney story we did in HOLLYWOKE today. Less of Nazi propaganda, more of white, blue eye gene supremacy. Weird. I haven't seen or heard of this. I'm white and cringed at this. Yeah, well, it's there. It's out there. And it's another, again, we talked about that earlier. You guys can go check that segment out again. Just another attempt to remind everybody that anti-Semitism is the biggest health concern, as RFK Jr. told us, that we have today. It's the biggest concern we have for health. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Chatter X, thanks for tuning in. As always, we love you, Chatter. Unfortunately, the whole left movement worldwide has been totally discredited by the fall of the Soviet Union and the modern fake co-opted leftism, wokeism. Yeah, totally corrupted. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I think Chatterbox usually shares us some links. This one just came out and told us, thank you so much. Totally agree with that.
It is true the left has been co-opted, not just in the United States, but in France and England and whatnot. And then the worst byproduct of the wokeness is the fact that they're using it to censor and shut people down. That's the biggest weaponization of this whole thing. It's not that it's just annoying and it's stupid and whatever the case may be. And it's like, oh my God, they're using it to censor their, Americans, or in this case, they're using it to censor British citizens or French or whatnot. That's the bad part, because they move it into hate speech and they weaponize it to silence people.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see what else we got here. How we got airwaves.
Mary Poppins said at the very. Meanwhile, the shit libs are going along for the ride.
Oh, is that the
very bottom?
Okay.
Right there.
Yep, here we are.
Meanwhile, the shit, and it's going to come back again. So now we're looking at the situation. All right, we had this Donald Trump thing where everybody bought into it. All the UFC fighters, Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, rescue the Republic. They had to come out there and say, let's go do this. Rob Schneider was out there with the Maha crew saying, vote for this stuff. Other than, once again, Colonel Douglas McGregor, who came out there, business, and warned us about Iran and said, the United States is getting ready to attack Iran, guys, right? He was talking about the administration was coming in. I think a lot of people, unless there was cheating of this last election, it was a foregone conclusion that Donald Trump was going to be the president. Here comes Douglas McGregor, the only one at that rally to really put out a warning and say, hey, man, Iran's going to attack. They're going to attack Iran, a country that's never done anything to us again. But, all those people bought into that, the lesser of two evils. Here we are again. But now we're faced with the fact that here come the shit libs now again. Now we're going to have to worry about the Democrats seizing power, taking advantage. And if you remember, I don't know how old you were, but the only reason, well, I don't want to say the only reason, but a major reason why I bought into Barack Obama is how batshit crazy the Republicans were then. The George W. Bushes, the Wolfowitzes, the Dick Cheney.
Yeah, no,
they
was
were
100%.
so crazy that I was like, no matter what, I'm buying into Obama. Now they're going to do the same thing they just did. They made Kamala and Joe look so crazy that you had to vote for Donald Trump. Now they're going to make Donald Trump look so bad and the Republicans look so bad that you got to vote for the Democrats. That's what's coming around. So they're not just going along for the ride. When I looked at that whole Sweeney thing, I looked at the ruling class riling up the base and seeing who's still around for their woke war, because that's what they're going to go forth with. And every single time they take away our rights, they don't give them back.
Yeah.
Donald Trump hasn't given us anything back. In fact, he's taken away more rights with the Israeli lobby and censoring us even more. So by the time we get to the next Democrat, forget about it.
Yeah.
We might not even be able to go on. We might not even have social media platforms. They might deem us.
Oh,
bad
yeah.
stuff.
No, that's where it's headed next. And then this comment from Mary Poppins was a response to this one. Gonzo Johnny, the only good part about Trump, the former left, has got its conscience and memory back.
I hope you're right, Gonzo Johnny. I hope you're right.
Connecting the dots. That's what we do.
I hope you're
As
right.
Pee Wee Herman once said, connect the dots. La, 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 la. You remember that one? No, you don't.
I remember Pee Wee Herman. I don't remember Connected Dots.
He did that little Saturday morning.
I remember the word of the day.
Yeah, he goes, connect the dots. La, 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 la. No, goofy dude. Goofy dude. That was fun. That was back when we had no problems in the world.
So what do you
All
say?
right.
336.
Let's do a couple more, and then we'll probably sign off, because I think we've done all the stories today. We definitely
Go back and watch the Garland Nixon section, guys. It was great.
Okay, let's do a couple more of these, and we do appreciate Bonzo Beans. I think is the mod for Do Dissidents, which is awesome. Thanks, Bonzo Beans, for bringing the peeps over to us. Arrived Derville, good folks. I'm heading back to my Batman and Robin.
Arrivederci,
all right,
folks.
All right. Arrivederci. Why am I did not see that. Thanks for correcting that. Let's see what else we got here. You guys, good chatting back and forth with y'all. Let's see. Appreciate the support. These are I hope if you're just stumbling on us now, I hope you guys we forgot to tell them, don't just like the stream. You guys got to follow, so you'll get the notifications when we go live again. So don't forget to hit the follow before you sign off, as we're about to sign off as well. But just hit that follow. You get that notification. We know you're part of what we're doing. And we're all doing the same thing. We're just doing it all in our different ways. You know why, guys? You know why we can do this? Because it's a pretty open lane. There's not so many. I mean, we can't really count on one hand. There's a lot, but it's still pretty open, right? I mean, you talk about Rumble, you talk about the right wing, channels, the right wing populist channels. How many do we have in our space? It's not.
No, it's because they
many.
censored us out, right? The independent left, the common sense left, the anti-imperialist left, the left that doesn't put culture wars above everything else. They put war, foreign policy, economics, censorship, civil liberties, freedom of speech. That comes first for a lot of anti-imperialist left. They found a way to censor us and demonetize us out of the whole freaking game. You know what I'm saying? Once again, I have a YouTube channel with Fiorella that's been demonetized for almost 7 years now, right? And that was a big source of our income. Why? Why can't the little lonely old comic couch have a show? And so many times they've censored us or took us down on Twitter or whatever. And so it's tough. They've made it so it's really hard for people, independent voices, those who don't play tribal politics like we do here, to succeed. They want to silence us. They want to shut us up. So we do need your help. Any way you can help us out, please do. And once again, this is just the beginning of what we're going to be doing. We're not going to stop doing this. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep bringing you the news, giving you our opinions out there. And I think there's a lot more to come. Things are going to heat up right now. It might seem like a little lull out there, Lull, lull, but it's going to heat up. Trust me.
Yeah. And we'll just end with a couple more. Zoodzilla, thanks for being on our YouTube channel. Where is the jail time for these criminals? And that's the thing.
Never
you guys,
gonna happen.
We've realized this now. This is something that you guys we give you permission to spread this language to your friends and families and coworkers when these discussions come up. And I know there's so many hopeful people out there that say Trump's going to get them or whatever they think, their delusion. And then look, we're not punching down at them. They're still being hopeful. We were hopeful with Obama. But the reality is no one's going to jail. Nobody in power is going to jail. There's always going to be a scapegoat down the ladder just a bit, one here, one there. But nobody in power is going to jail. We figured that out with Obama. Never held anyone accountable for the illegal war in Iraq and the illegal torture program and the 1 million dead Iraqis. Nobody ever goes to jail. You're not going to see anybody going to jail for COVID. You're not going to see anybody going to jail for Ukraine. You're not going to see anyone go to jail for child sex trafficking, guys. And RFK Jr. told us, even the last HHS alone, he said there's 300,000 missing kids. Well, where are they? Well, we're looking for them. But what about the people who did it? Don't worry, Mr. President. We took care of them. We cleared them out.
Yeah.
That's what he told us.
Yeah.
What do you mean you cleared them out? Oh, just like you cleared out that vaccine panel. You clear people out. You bring in new people. The people you clear out don't go to jail. So it's just theater. It's not real if nobody's being charged for a crime.
Yeah.
That's the big aha moment for us.
Yeah.
So I think that should.
Yeah, you got some Norm Finkelstein to end the show. Huh?
We're going to end it with some Norm Finkelstein, guys. This one is good because we've seen him. We've seen Norm. You guys know Norm.
Yeah.
He's had some very powerful moments these last few years with the genocide going in real time.
I got to interview him. The genocide, the October 7th, was it October 6th? October 6th or 7th?
October 7th.
I think that happened on a Saturday.
Yes, it was on a weekend. Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
On Monday's show, I was doing Jimmy Dore's show. I had Norman Finkelstein on out of the gate.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you want to go back to Jimmy's show, you can go to Rumble, you can go to YouTube. Between all of them, millions of views. Really, to tell you the truth, a great show. I just got sat back and me and Kurt and got educated. So you can check it out. His opinions right out of the gate. That was on October 9th. It might have been the first interview he did. So I was very fortunate to have him on. And it's a great show. So go back and check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Don't forget to hit the follow, the like, all that, the share. And we're here for you every time. You guys, with the follow, you're going to get the notification so you know that we're going live and you can share out what we're doing. It takes a team, guys. It takes a village. All this, you guys heard all the all the language behind that. One person can't do it on their own. We do this because we have support from each other. We have support from you guys. So keep the support. It builds our community. Our community is non-tribal, by the way. We're not tribal, but we are about humanity. We're about community, and you can have whatever ideology you want. We just want to fight for the right for you to have it, the right for freedom, the right for free speech, the right to not die in an endless war, the right for bodily autonomy, just basic human rights we fight for in a non-tribal way. Hold people accountable. Let's do that. Let's hold ourselves accountable too. No more hero worship, guys. We're done with that. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, Craig Pasta. Thanks for being in the home studio with us today. Very cool.
Maybe we'll see you again. We'll wear ties again.
Maybe we'll do it. Yes.
Maybe we'll wear ties again.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure, man. I love coming on with you and having these conversations.
Awesome. Okay, we'll try to put a few more comments up at the end, guys, and we'll see you on Thursday, next show, Thursday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Till then, remember, always go out the world with courage, conviction, and above all else, principle. Power to the people and free Palestine. Here's some Norm Finkelstein for you. Oh, he's going to tell us what anti-Semitism used to be before it's not, I guess, anymore. All right. Take care, guys.
I think it's pretty undeniable, at least from my own experience, that there is very rampant anti-Semitism in the United States, at least.
That's your experience?
That has been my experience.
Are you Jewish?
I'm half Jewish, but it's not necessarily that it's directed at me, but people growing up, slurs against other races aren't tolerated, but slurs against Jews I would hear pretty regularly, lots of Jew jokes where you wouldn't be able to make black jokes.
I don't agree with that at all. First of all, there was an era in which one calculated anti-Semitism not by a person's thoughts, because you can't control a person's thoughts. And even you can't control your thoughts. And even you probably can't figure out what's your quote-unquote real motive for whatever you do. Are you interviewing me now because of a sincere inquiry into the life of the mind? Or does it have an egotistical component? Or does it go back to something your mother said when you were 5 years old? You know, the human psyche is very complicated, and it's not susceptible to easy analysis or control. So there was an era where nobody ever thought about those things. When you talked about anti-Semitism, it meant, does it affect your job opportunities? Does it affect your access to certain institutions of higher education? Does it affect where you're going to live? Does it affect negatively your interactions with the law? That's what anti-Semitism meant. They were quantifiable, palpable, lucid expressions of this phobia, whatever you want to call anti-Semitism, okay? By that reckoning, can you name me a place in the United States where a Jew would have trouble purchasing a home or renting an apartment? Name me one place. I'd be curious. Can you name me one university, one college, one in the whole United States where a Jew would have trouble getting in because he or she was Jewish? One. Could you name me one profession? Does the medical profession discriminate against Jews? There's a legal profession. I mean, that was once a problem. That's why Jewish law firms are created, because they couldn't get into the white shoe WASP law firms. Does that exist anymore? So this is just completely and totally ridiculous to talk about anti-Semitism in the United States. On the contrary, being Jewish gets you into professions. It's an asset in our society. In publishing, being Jewish makes a big difference. You know what they used to call the New York Review of Books? They called it the New York Review of each other's books, and they were all Jewish.